Hey y'all, welcome back to another episode of Cocktail Hour. I am Meg.
And I'm Nikki. And if you're a wedding vendor headed to a wedding this weekend, this episode is dedicated to you.
Now, today, thanks to Met Blackburn Photos on Instagram, we're covering judgments that people have about photographers. And I have to be honest, when I saw the video, I was like, oh, these are going to be good. People are going to tear our asses apart.
I wish people would have. I would love to hear like very honest, open opinions on what people actually think about us.
And I will say, especially for a lot of them being like, support other photographers, most of the shit talking comments here were other photographers. Yeah, they're not from people.
I'm not surprised.
Or, you know what I mean? So
yeah, they're not from people.
Yeah, they're not from people. They're from photographers. But before that, you guys know we like to do a little catch up. I normally, if you listen to this podcast regularly, you know that I normally have a short story to provide. I don't this week. So
I want to hear this chin hair though, because
oh my God.
As I love reading yours because I'm just like, what the fuck? What the fuck?
It does seem like a schizophrenic got into the
like
doc.
I put my note or my updates, I just track them in a note when I like think of stuff.
Yeah.
And they make a lot of sense. And then yours goes chin hair, walking down steps, drinking a straw. So
okay, the chin hair thing. So as an older woman, as we were just, mind you,
as an elderly,
before Nikki and I started this episode, we've easily talked for the last half hour.
Yes.
Recording audio, recording video.
But sorry,
really
these are not things
time.
that can go to the public.
Yeah, these are things
just
that could
catch
get
up.
us committed. Okay, but the chin hair, being an elderly woman, I normally, since I was like 25, have just a little black chin hair that comes
get the
in.
Same one.
And it's been fine. It comes in every month and a half to 2 months. I see it poke through. I go, great, clink, and we're good.
Did you miss it?
No.
Did Adam clock it? Stranger?
Oh,
a
no.
client?
I actually don't think I could put a gun to your head and I don't think you'd guess what I'm about to tell you. Okay. That's how, even for me, I was in shock. I almost did a walk around my house thinking about life decisions after this happened because I was like, how have I gotten to this point? So,
was it so long?
I was sitting downstairs on the couch, recliner, watching, Beat Bobby Flay. And I have a little mirror and tweezers there because the other night I was just grabbing my little, in between caterpillars. And I go, man, I feel like I have not had this wiry chin hair in a minute. So let me just like look and feel and, see if I can find it. And maybe I'll preemptively pluck it, right?
You had a whole beard. You just look and you have a beard.
Nicole. I look and I go, God, okay, I don't see a black hair at all. Like, I don't even feel it. And then I go, oh, weird, I have this dog hair.
No.
And I literally thought I had one of Aiden's or Wish's hair on my face.
I just peed on this chair a little.
No, literally,
No.
Nikki, it was hanging down. And when I tell you, it was easily half an inch or more.
Okay, I thought it would be way worse. I thought it was going to be way longer.
It was long to the point where it was definitely hanging down here. And it was just a white, not white, but like a blonde hair.
It's white.
A really thin. I am Tim Allen in the fucking Santa Claus. All of a sudden, I'm like,
you walk into the meeting and go, oh, okay.
No, legitimately, I looked at it and I go, surely this cannot be happening. Surely this is a dog hair that is somehow stuck on my face. And I go and I literally can grip it with my fingers down here. I can grip it. And I was like, oh my God, how have I not seen this? How have you not seen this? How has Adam not seen this?
I was going to say, luckily I haven't seen it. And like Adam clearly didn't see it. We would have said something.
Yeah.
And
it was
forcefully removed it.
Gross. And I'm thinking like, okay, maybe it was like laying flat on my skin for the longest time. And it just decided to like
make an appearance.
Coming out. Yeah. And I plucked it and I sat there and I just stared at it for a long time. I don't think I took a picture. I
always take pictures of the gross things in my life.
But I was really upset because I thought, how are things this long coming out of my face? That's a concern.
Not
And
how that
actually,
works.
Adam and I we were having a conversation about hair because I was like, after a while, my leg hair stops growing. Like I could leave it for a year and it would only get to a certain point.
Right.
And I'm like, different things, my stuff, it only gets to a certain point. And Adam's like, well, it's not hair. He goes, we're animals. He's like, I think it's like fur. Like how Opie has fur. He doesn't really have hair. So it's not going to keep growing where he can't walk because he's tripping over his hair. And I go, that makes total sense. But
that was the hair.
I do have hair coming out of my face. I'm concerned. I remember my dad used to have, he worked at a casino and there was a lady who worked there who gambled there with a full beard. And as she got older, my dad was like, she just stopped caring about removing the hair. She just let it go.
Homegirl had PCOS, 100%.
No, literally.
Because that's very common amongst women with PCOS. But yeah, it's really hard to like maintain. I can't even imagine having.
And I always do a little up here. I do like little wax strips.
I shave my face literally weekly.
But I will tell you, if I forget to do a wax, all of a sudden 45 days goes by, I go and I look and I'm like, Jesus Christ. I am like Jose. I am no longer Meg. I'm
shave
Jose.
My face literally weekly because I am a hairy Latino woman. But I do remember when I was dating a boy once. It's actually my ex-husband, so I'm surprised he married me after this. But I had like waxed my face. I used to wax my face. Sometimes I still will because I have a waxing kit. But I used to use like strips, like the Sally Hansen strips. Yeah. And I would like do my eyebrows and then I would do my sideburns. And like, your mustache, general areas. Yeah. Well, we were like sitting in the sun once. And you know how like in the sun, you can see things all very differently. Yeah. And I don't remember his exact words, but he looked at me and he was like, did you miss a spot? Like, did you like try to shave your face and miss a spot? I had like missed a chunk of hair. That's how traumatizing it actually was, that I like remember this from 15 years ago.
This is a core memory for you.
Core memory, canon event in my life. I will never miss a hair ever again on my face because he straight up was like, oh.
Do you still do your sideburns? Because I don't.
I just use those little tinkle razors.
Very natural. Like it doesn't look.
Luckily, I don't have terrible sideburns. I will say, if I let it grow, there are times where I look in the mirror and I go, okay, this is getting a little too close to the roots. I'm getting a little too close to my indigenous heritage here. Like we got to dial it in, Americanize a little. Like we're getting a little crazy here.
They're gonna be coming for me any day now.
Yeah, we can't let her grow.
Also, I know I make a lot of jokes on this podcast about like deportation.
Yeah, do you want to clarify?
In no way do I actually think that's okay. I actually saw a video of
we're anti-ICE. Yeah, I'm gonna put that out there. I'm over it.
If my next door neighbor, if some dude in civilian clothing and a fucking bandana around his face comes knocking,
we're fighting.
Yeah,
I'm fighting.
Right to bear arms.
She coming.
I'm coming for you.
Meg's like, hey,
you want me to be patriotic? Yeah. I'll be patriotic. No, don't think it's funny, but in really dark times, all we can do is laugh.
Yeah, we honestly, I feel like you and I have agreed on this, is that like if we're not laughing about it, we're crying about it.
100%.
And I've cried to a lot of TikTok videos of like mothers being torn away from their children, and so we don't want to get dark. No. So we're not going to. So instead, we're gonna laugh about it.
Yeah.
Because it is a very serious issue that I think deserves to have light brought to it.
Agreed.
However, you can also go down a really dark rabbit hole once you get down that path. So we try to like obviously take things very seriously, and we believe what we believe on that. Yeah. Like I said, I don't fuck with that. But in the same breath, like there's quite literally nothing that you and I can do except for talk about it in this capacity and then make light of it, because what can we do?
Here's what I like to remind everybody. SNL still went on after 9/11.
What'd you say?
SNL still did their show after 9/11. Or they came back after 9/11 because they knew the country needed to laugh.
Honestly, though, it is true. In times of darkness, let us be the light.
Yes. Let us be light. I finished Righteous Gemstones. Speaking of light, did
really?
you guys?
No. You guys finished the entire few seasons?
The way that we binged this,
really?
like multiple episodes per night, we couldn't stop.
Okay.
So
Good
you'll
to know.
let me know when you finish it so we can debrief.
Okay.
And now we're starting to watch Eastbound and Down, another Danny McBride show, which is great, but I still just love Righteous Gemstones so much.
Okay, I love that.
Okay, chin hair. What was
walking down steps, drinking a straw?
Okay, this cup, if you are watching on the Spotify or the YouTube, and if you're not, it's just one of those like plastic Starbucks cups, right? So yesterday, I'm literally walking down. I make like my little drinky drink, and I'm walking down the stairs
in your home.
In my home.
Okay.
So nothing crazy. They're carpeted. And I'm drinking from this straw.
Yeah.
As I'm walking down the stairs. And this is where like the OCD, the intrusive thoughts come in, where I go, Meg, you could just wait till you get to the bottom of the stairs to start drinking from this very hard straw. Because if you even fuck up one stair and like, oh, this is like impaling your fucking mouth.
It's like telling a kid not to run with scissors.
Yeah.
Or a sucker in their mouth.
And then later in the day, I'm walking down the stairs and I'm going downstairs to change. I'm taking my shirt off as I'm walking down the stairs. Like my face is covered.
Yeah, I don't think about half this stuff because I'd just be doing it. And by the time I get to the bottom, I'm like, hey.
Thank God I'm still alive.
I made it.
Yeah. But it just hit me. I was like, bitch, maybe you should be a little bit more careful. Or if Adam ever dies early, it will probably be because I took a bubble bath and I also have bath oil that I put in there. And then I get out and then you step in the shower in the morning
so
and it's like your legs
You need
buckle.
one of those pads in your bath. Like after you take a bath, you can throw it back down.
Yeah.
Or just rinse your tub, bitch. What? Just rinse the tub.
The oil is so thick. Like the next morning, it's definitely like a film on the tub.
Leave a sponge in the corner. And after you bathe,
that would mean I have to
just turn around.
Labor.
Just turn around. Just get the.
You know, I really don't love the idea of like a little traction mat or anything on my bath. Not in the bath, like I could take it out before I take it back, but even in the shower, because my grandparents have one, and I like equate it to old.
That's so funny.
People.
My aunt, I grew up going to my aunt and uncle's most summers, when I wasn't living in a third world country,
or in a car.
Yeah, or in a car. But they always in like my cousin's bathroom, I remember. And still to this day, have always had a little sticky mat, the ones with the suction cups so that you rip it up after you shower. Like they have a whole process. And I low key now I want one.
It makes total sense.
Oh,
and
it makes
I bet
the most
a lot of
sense.
shower deaths could have been
prevented. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Speaking of deaths. Oh, okay. So the other day, I had read about Gene Hackman and his wife.
Yes.
Right? Granted, that was a long time ago, but I remembered it the other day.
Just a couple months ago.
Yeah. They passed. Their dog passed because he was just chilling. Yeah. And no one knew these two had died. And I was talking to Adam the other day and I said, we really need to come up with some sort of game plan or process where people will know right away if we have died. Not because I care about me, but we got 4 fucking animals in here. And before Blue is immediately going to start eating us. So I said before.
You think so?
100%.
Blue is the cat, by the way.
Yes. Blue is my cat. He'll start eating us, but like, I cannot have these dogs starve. So I was like, I started thinking about like, okay, do I have like a chat where I have to text Nikki every morning, like an emoji, just to let you know I'm alive?
I asked you in the car. I was like, what would you do? Because we listen to murder podcasts in the car ride from like road trips, whatever. And I asked you, I said, how long would it take you to realize that I could potentially be missing? I wonder how long it would take somebody to notice. I would notice if Craig was missing within a second, because I'm crazy. Never mind. I was gonna say, I'm not crazy. I track that man not because I don't trust him.
Yeah.
But because I am just like an inherently paranoid person. with a lot of anxiety.
Yeah.
So I wake up from a nap yesterday and I'm like, where's Craig? Where's Craig? And I go upstairs and my grandfather, who's 90, who we take care of, he's like, he went to the gas station. And I'm like, where's Craig? And I'm like, not that I don't trust my 90-year-old grandfather, but I'm like, oh my gosh, we have to leave for baseball. Like, we were supposed to leave.
Yeah.
I'm calling him. He's not answering. So I keep calling him. He's not answering. And then he's like, hey, babe, I was just getting gas. And I'm like, okay, well, in that maybe 12 minutes, I thought you were murdered in a ditch somewhere or just like died in a car accident. Like,
here's my
feel
thing,
a little
though.
paranoid.
I totally get that, though, but that's like within your own house. I would notice if Adam went missing.
For sure.
I think also that I would notice quickly. I can just see.
Is it Opie?
Yeah, he's going behind you. I think I would notice pretty quickly if you went missing.
Yeah.
And regardless if it's because we like chat a lot, but you have so many people in your household that I think would alert me. Like, I wouldn't be their first call, but I think someone. Hold on, shit. Oh, wait. Hi, Bubba's. You're going to pull the sound recorder off.
Opie.
He's full on.
Can you pick him up?
He might lay down.
By scruff.
Come on, Bubba. He just takes a huge shit down.
I was honestly just thinking, like, what if he doo-doos?
Come here. Okay. Are you okay? Are you tired? Okay. This is the mayhem of cocktail hour. But I don't think I would be your family's first call by any means. I do think if you went missing, I'm willing to bet Z would DM me. Or Z would be like, hey, Nikki's not going to be at the podcast.
Nikki?
Yeah, right? Is she hiding out at your house? But roles reversed, I don't have a bunch of people in my house that would alert you. I don't think you would know until you DM me. It would probably be like 2 days.
I would just show up.
Yeah.
Plus, we have locations now, which is great. Yeah. But I would just show up. But even like a friend of mine, I have her location. And the other day I was like, I wonder what she's up to. She lives right across the street from me.
Yeah.
Or, okay, 3-minute drive, whatever. And I'm like, I looked at her thing, no location found. And I'm like, where the fuck is Alyssa? Where is Alyssa? And so I'm texting her. I'm like, where are you? What are you doing? Because we never do that. And she's like, sometimes I just like to keep people on their toes. She was being a little silly. But then she came over and I was like, okay, I needed to know you were alive because you were just talking to like a serial killer.
Yeah.
Just kidding. But
for sure. I think it'd be a couple days before you noticed that I was, because it's not like you and I talk all day, every day. And I could probably go a full day without responding to something that you sent me and vice versa. And it's not unnatural.
No, and it's not. Yeah, I agree.
It's not like we're asking each other insane questions that need to be answered immediately. And if they are, I just FaceTime you.
Yeah.
Even for things that are not needed right away, I'm like, I'm just going to call Nikki. So anyways, I really do want some sort of process where I like have to click a button every morning to let someone know I'm alive.
Ask ChatGPT what you should do.
Yeah, that's fair. You know what ChatGPT is going to say? Go get some more fucking friends. Like, build a community.
Bumble friends.
Yeah, build a little bit of a community. Okay, so Adam assisting.
Yeah.
Wanted to talk about that. So you tell me, because I've been doing this a certain way, trying to keep a level of professionalism, but I feel like it can backfire on me. So I've been asking a lot of my couples, like, if they don't have a second shooter, and they didn't want to pay for one, they didn't feel it was necessary, which is fine. I'll be like, hey, are you okay if I bring an assistant, which would either be Juma or Adam. And Juma is another photographer that we work with. She's so sweet. But I'm like, or it would be Adam just to help fluff dresses, go run and grab them stuff. And then he has a camera as well that he can shoot with and just get practice. But I always ask permission if they're okay with that, just having an extra body there. Some people aren't comfortable with it. I'm wondering, do you think I should tell them ahead of time that it might be my fiance, not just a other photographer? It may be my fiance. Or the options I've been looking at is tell them, hey, Adam's trying to get into this. I want to do like very slowly bring him on. Mm-hmm. I would like him to be there just essentially for exposure to the wedding world. Or I try to almost just keep it Adam and Meg. Adam is an assistant. Like, he's not babe.
No.
He is.
No.
Okay.
No.
That's fair.
Yeah.
I've not known what to do because I did bring him to 2 engagement sessions this week for him to shoot film.
Yeah.
Because he's been shooting longer than I have, but not in a professional capacity.
Sure.
So I've been bringing him along because I'm like, well, why not give my couples each a few rolls of film for free?
Yeah.
And then it just gets Adam used to engagement sessions and all this stuff. And I tell them or ask them if I can bring an assistant. I'm calling him Adam throughout the session. All of a sudden, babe comes out of my mouth.
Yeah. That's my whole point.
Yeah.
It's like, that is your fiance. So I think like any husband and wife team that I know of or whatever have worked with, I always ask, like, are you guys married? Are you a couple? Like, if I see a man and a woman working together, typically I'll be like, are you guys together? If I don't know them?
Yeah.
And the answer is
Typically.
9 out of 10 times it's yes.
Yeah.
And I would much rather know that than just assume that they're just coworkers.
Yeah.
Like,
that's fair. I'm
Yeah.
like, is it unprofessional?
No.
I'm like, hey, this is my fiance. But I also think of it and go, well, he's got to start somewhere.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think people could anticipate that I'm just going to bring Adam on and he's going to be great at what he does already.
Right.
Like, I've been doing this for 4 years. We got to get him on board somehow. So,
yeah, I think that's fair.
but I'm super excited to see how that all turns out. I don't know. I don't want to like give too much away. Also, because I don't know if it's going to work out. But you know me, I love to try things and see what works and what doesn't. But I think we're going to bring him on in less of a like second shooter capacity in future years, depending on how he goes. And instead, I think we're going to try to lean into the more analog film, like Super 8, camcorder stuff, like lean into that to add value to packages and just like give that little, I don't know,
A little extra.
to the packages.
Yeah.
Of saying like, hey, you know, we can get you a highlight video that's a few minutes, especially for couples who haven't already hired a videographer who are like, I just want, you know,
Something.
Yes. And I don't want it to be, again, I'm not trying to like get around people having a videographer because videographers do a very different thing, a very
Yes.
professional, cinematic, beautiful thing. I'm also not trying to have people not get content creators. Content creators do a very specific thing.
Yep.
They are going to give people instant gratification, whether it's that day, next day, whatever, do all these different things for social media. And I'm just like, but for people who are like, hey, and this stemmed from a couple coming to me and asking if Adam could do this. They just want camcorder footage. They're 90s
And
babies.
I think that's really valuable,
Yeah.
honestly, for the people who don't want something that might be the norm, I guess, or as traditional as, you know, a wedding day video or even a content video. Like, there are things that people might just not lean toward. So
Yeah. Agreed.
I definitely think that's a value.
Agreed. I think
Oh.
that's literally
Just wreaking havoc. Okay. I'll go into mine. Mine is, well, we worked a wedding together this weekend. In a different capacity. I was doing content creation while Meg was photographing with a second photographer. Here's a bone for Opie. So we got to hang out for a full ass wedding day, but just in a different capacity. Yeah. How do you feel about that?
I feel like it went very well. I feel like no matter the capacity you and I work together, it's going to go well. I just found it hilarious how quickly we fell back into our normal routine, even though we were playing different roles than we normally do. Do you want a bone? Do you want the bone?
I definitely, yeah, I think we just work really well together, so it just kind of makes it a little bit easier. Is that your computer?
No, it's my
your
phone. Mayhem.
We're just going a little off script today. But I think
like your
the
nails.
wedding in general, like, went well. I
Yeah.
mean, you've worked with content creators before. How did I do?
well. Wouldn't it be hilarious if I actually had feedback and I was like, I'm going to leave it for the pod.
You asshole.
Yeah, no. And it was funny because Mo, my second shooter for the day, had never worked with content creation. I believe she said that she hadn't. And she was like, I'm excited to see how this goes. And I was like, well, lucky you, because Nikki's one of my closest friends. Yeah. And I was like, this will be a great experience. Yeah. But yeah, it is funny. Nikki and I work together so often and work very well together that there were things that Nikki was doing in the moment that she knew I wanted purely based on our experience together. And Mo is doing a really great job being very like documentary. She's shooting on a 70 to 200. Like, so she's standing really far away and Nikki is just side by side with me. And it was just, it almost felt like I had 2 second photographers that day. And I almost felt bad. I was like, sorry, Nikki. Nikki's not working technically, quote unquote, for Louis today, but she's definitely, she's putting in the work. So,
but also a really important thing to put out there too is that even any time that I do second shoot for you, yes, while I do love working for you, I also strongly believe in serving the couple as best as possible. And so like, I know it makes your life easier, but I know it's also going to make like the bride's life easier to not have to hike up her dress and carry it around, or, you know, the maid of honor doesn't potentially know how to fluff the dress as seamlessly or as easily as we can, or, you know, just doing the little touches throughout the day is like, we do it for each other. We do it because it's helpful in a workflow, but we primarily do it to serve our couples and to make sure that they have the best experiences possible. So
definitely like see a need, fill a need.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. I just saw a mom post about that. She said her son, like the light bulb had finally gone off for her son. This is so different, but it gave me an aha moment where her son saw that something needed to be vacuumed, like something had fallen or whatever. And he's fairly young. He was like under 10 years old, and he grabbed the handheld vacuum and he just got it done. And she asked him about it and he was like, well, I saw it needed to be done, so I did it. And she was like,
that's such an important, valuable
raising
lesson.
a strong person, because that is
a strong, independent woman.
Yeah. As a little boy. But we also need men who see a need and just do something that, But anyways, what else has happened for you in the last week?
So literally it's only been a week, so there's not much that has happened. 90% of my notes, 100% of my notes actually, are from things that happened yesterday. Literally all my notes are from yesterday. So we had... one of my stepsons had 8th grade graduation. Aww. Which is like a crazy concept though, because I didn't have an 8th grade graduation. Nobody that I know of in our age range had an 8th grade graduation.
Is there school up until 8th grade? Do they go to a different school?
It's 6th, 7th, and 8th. So it's you graduate from kindergarten typically, and then you graduate. I don't know if I had a 5th grade graduation. I don't remember that.
Yeah. Even when I moved schools, I had a senior graduation.
Exactly. Yeah. So you have your 12th grade graduation, and that's all I remember. So last year we did our first 8th grade graduation because Craig's older son they're just a year apart. Gotcha. So 8th grade, 7th grade, now 8th grade, 9th grade. But we had 8th grade graduation yesterday, and I swear to God, on the school calendar, it said 9:30 a.m. I took a screenshot of it. We showed up. We had Craig's parents show up at 8:45.
Yeah.
We met them there at 8:45. It started at 1. So we were there just at the school, just a little early. So
I was going to say, what'd you do?
We went to breakfast instead. Nice. Craig had taken the whole day off. So then we ended up just going to breakfast with his parents, which was nice because we don't get to see them that often.
Yeah.
And then we went back to the school at the correct time. And when I tell you, for this 8th grade graduation, all of the girls are wearing like cute dresses, and like some of them are in wedges. The thing is like dresses and sneakers too. So like a lot of them are like so cute. And I can talk about all of this because I know the boys will never listen to this.
Yeah.
But Aiden, I'm like, here comes one of his really good friends wearing this nice velvet blazer. Some of the boys are in button downs and like khakis. Aiden rolls in, basketball shorts, his the trendy New Balances, a McLaren t-shirt that I bought him for Christmas. Yeah. I was like, okay, go.
Yeah.
And I'm like, did you even brush your hair today? You look like a mess. But it's totally him, and it was very cute. He graduated, and then we had baseball that night. So we just got to see him back to back to back. Yeah, dude. being a parent, you don't get no time.
I was going to say a parent or a kid. I don't know
God,
how
these
I
kids,
got through life as a child. Like, you're doing
these
shit
kids
all the time.
are so busy.
Yeah.
He does baseball. This is his first year doing baseball. Then he has football camp in the summer. Then he has football in the fall. And then he has hockey in the winter. And then he's doing baseball in the spring again, I'm assuming. So
I remember thinking to myself as a younger person a lot, man, I'm so bored.
Oh,
I never think that anymore.
I actually do think that. I get bored sometimes.
Oh, no. I go, thank God. No one needs anything from me. I don't need to do anything. I am chilling. And in those moments, I go, what THC seltzer can I go pull out and just vibe, take a hot bath?
Yeah, these kids, they stay busy, but I think it's really good for them.
I
Has
agree.
strong ADHD running through them genes, so like he needs it.
I wish I had kept that up as an adult. And honestly, I feel like I really did before the pandemic. I was working all day, then I was going out.
Yeah.
Granted,
staying
maybe that's
busy.
Yeah, I was staying busy, but going to the gym. Then the pandemic hit, and now if I have one task to do that day, the whole day kind of revolves around that one task. I even feel like you are so much better than me. Every time I open Instagram, you are doing something.
I try. I think I'm kind of living in my like life is too short not to era.
Yeah.
Because I want to do stuff. And like I do really value, I don't know, outside of my relationship, like I've always tried to maintain really strong friendships and like really have tried to be intentional throughout my life with that because I've had some friends get me through some really tough shit. So like anytime I can, I'm like, okay, I will. And also I am somebody who, if I do commit to plans, I do have a really hard time like saying no or rearranging, which is something that I am working on. If somebody else cancels plans on me, I'm like, okay, whatever. Like it is what it is.
To me, it feels like crack.
Yeah.
I love it.
If it's repetitive though, I'm like, I don't love that.
Are you coming at me? Because
no,
Monday or Tuesday I was like,
no,
girl, I can't do the podcast today.
No. I have one friend who cancels on me all the time, and we've talked about it, and she has promised to do better, but I'm like, I can't reserve days where I'm like canceling or like clearing my schedule for something and then being canceled on, especially if it's last minute, and being like, okay. Yeah. Like that's really not fun.
Especially when you've like your day is either revolving around that or you said you couldn't do other things. Also, from a small business perspective, if I had a 9-to-5 and I knew that was my 9-to-5 and then we had dinner plans for 5:30 and you cancel, I'd be like, okay, it is what it is. But as a small business owner, to have plans and tell your clients like, can't do this, I'm, booked, whatever, and then that gets canceled, you're like, okay, I could have gotten something done for one of my couples.
Super frustrating.
And that's a frustrating situation.
Yeah. So anyway, my last update is I realized yesterday, if anybody listening to this is a step parent, you'll totally get this. But we were leaving baseball and Craig's youngest son, he's one of my favorites. I'm not going to lie. Craig has several children. By several, I mean 3. I love all of them.
I was
They're
like,
all
several
amazing.
Sounds insane. Okay,
sounds like
3.
he has 15 kids.
Yeah.
But Aiden is the youngest, and he is definitely, out of the boys, he's the most vocal. He's just like very outgoing. He's very like, he has ADHD. It shows a lot. Like he's very like squirrel, 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 squirrel. Like he's all over the place, but I love it.
Yeah.
And also he's very open with me. Like he tells me a lot. Sometimes I'm like, I don't want to know this. Yeah. I don't need to know this. But we're leaving the game and he asked if we could drive one of his friends home. And we're like, sure. He lives in South Minneapolis. We're going from Edina to South Minneapolis. And then we have to come back to drop Aiden back off at home. But I'm like, whatever. Yeah. We will do it because I'm not letting this kid take an Uber teen home, which was his plan.
Also,
we're driving.
Did not know that was a thing.
We're driving.
Uber teen.
Uber teen is a whole thing. And the reason we know Uber teen exists is because we dropped Aiden off for a sleepover at this very specific friend's house. Yeah. And we found out Aiden's location was in a different location than where we dropped him off at. And his mom had noticed. and called us and said, you need to go get Aiden right now. He's not home. He's at a girl's house with his friend because the friend's dad ordered them an Uber teen to a girl's house and did not notify any of the parents.
There's so many diabolical things happening there. Number one, the parent, what the fuck are you doing? What the fuck are you doing? Number two, Uber teen.
Yeah.
You might as well have a big blinking sign that says pedophiles.
Traffic me.
Please.
Yeah.
Please come apply for this job. Number three, though, you said 8th grade, so like 14?
Yeah.
I don't
13, 14.
I don't think they be fucking yet, though.
No.
They be making out.
No.
They be rubbing.
We're not even going there.
But
we're not getting into that. They're not doing anything.
I'm just saying that's good.
They're sitting elbow to elbow, not even saying words to each other. They're texting on Snapchat back and forth as they're sitting in the same room in the 8th grade.
I don't think my like heavy making out started until I was like
9th grade, 10th grade.
Yeah.
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 And it's only really, I will say, like if you have a boyfriend or girlfriend, I feel like kids are doing
like
that.
a random
Yeah, you're not just doing it randomly.
That's like 18 years old.
So I was like, well, I'm not letting this kid take an Uber teen home from me, die in a baseball fields to, and you know what? Teach their own. I'm not here to judge. I'm not a parent.
Yeah.
Truthfully, aside from step parenting, the way that in the capacity that I do, I'm not judging. Like,
the way my parents would have put me in an Uber teen.
100%. My mom forgot me at a movie theater for 17 hours. Like the police picked me up. Like that's way better.
Movies you could have seen though. That's great.
No, literally. Or like if she would have ordered me an Uber teen, I could have just gone home instead of like having to sit at the police station and wait for her to be a crackhead. So like,
how old were you?
10.
Oh,
so that's even younger than this. And this kid, mind you, Aiden's friend is like 6 feet tall. He looks, if he didn't open his mouth with a mouthful of braces, you would be like, oh, maybe he's like 16, 17.
Oh, gotcha.
So he doesn't look like a baby. He looks like a teenager.
Yeah.
But anyway, we're walking up to the car. And like I said, unless you're a step parent, you might not fully know or understand how this feels. But Aiden was like, yeah, bro. My stepmom, she's chill. You're like, she's chill. She's cool. Like, and then he starts talking about somebody else's stepmom and how much they don't like her and how she's like so annoying and the worst. And I was like, also, Craig and I are not married.
Yeah.
So it was very meaningful to have him actually refer to me as his step parent.
Yeah.
Opposed to like
Nikki.
Dad's girlfriend or dad's fiance or dad's wife. Like I was like, oh my gosh, she's calling me a stepmom. That was like the very first time that he's like in front of me at least
to like other
acknowledge
people.
Stepmomism. And then we're watching them at the food concession stand with these girls who ran up to them and I'm like, Jesus Christ, it's starting. I don't know if I like this. I don't know if I can do this. And then last thing, in the car ride, his friend goes, you kind of look like Travis Hunter's wife. Travis Hunter is a football player.
Okay. I can't wait.
They're like, look her up. And I was like, okay. And Aiden goes, don't look at her Instagram, though.
Oh, let me see.
It's a literal Instagram model baddie.
You do kind of look like her.
And I was like, excuse me?
Cute. I immediately go to the wedding photos. I'm like, let me see the wedding photos. You do. Yeah.
I'll take it. I was like, okay, cool.
You're a little,
Thanks.
okay, when I say this sounds crazy.
Yeah, you're
less baddie, but not that
I'm not
thing.
Out here like this on the internet.
And that's what I meant.
I would never.
Like,
well, I would.
You are bad, but like the baddie photos.
I'm not posting this.
Yeah.
I got kids to worry about out here in these streets. If I didn't, though, you better believe 10 years ago, I would have been posting this. I did send a Snapchat out recently where I said, it was after the wedding.
Which?
After the wedding.
We should talk about.
What should we talk? Oh, the twerking?
No.
What?
So Nikki is showing photos.
Jesus Christ.
She was just showing some photos of some stuff to a group of people, mind you. Couple photographers, wedding planner. We are just looking at some stuff on her phone. She scrolls, and there's a hot photo of Nikki. A little selfie she took for Craig. And
that selfie is from literally 4 years ago when we started dating.
Yeah. that's fine. I didn't know if it was from last week. I was like, okay, you got a lot of energy because I ain't got no energy for that kind of stuff.
I am not sending those kinds of pictures anymore.
But it was the funniest thing. I've never seen Nikki just move so quickly to move on from the photo that she ended up showing us. And that will be a loving moment in my brain for years
I was
to
naked.
come. Yeah.
In case anybody was wondering.
Yeah. It was definitely, she was showing the goods. And I think if it was just to me, that you wouldn't have been like, you would have been like, yeah, that's my ass. It was to someone also that Nikki had met for the very first time. And the look on her face right now is so fucking hilarious. I had to share with the...
Mind you, it's not like I was showing like a photo of a goose, a swan swimming in the sea prior to this. Our conversation was already, you know, a little bit on a different rated side. Yeah. We were... As vendors do, I think wedding vendors are a little freaky. We're all a little freaky deaky. You got to be in this industry. And so, you know, we were having a little freaky deaky conversation and I was showing some stuff. Yeah. You know, some stuff that I had found on the internet. Mind you, this is in private. We weren't around
this wasn't
our
up at the
clients.
Altar.
No. So we were just chatting as friends do amongst friends. But yeah, I was swiping to find another picture of something else. I did not realize. The way that I literally went, oh, okay.
We all bust.
Everybody was dying laughing.
It was a great photo. Here's the thing. So much better that it was a great photo versus like,
oh God, can you imagine?
Insane
it was
photo.
Me taking a pic of hemorrhoids or something. That would have been mortifying. I would have died.
Whenever I take those pictures, I have to delete them right away.
Immediately.
Oh my God. Okay.
Yeah. See, these ones I'm keeping. I'm like, these are going to be in my shared album forever because when I'm 90 years old, I'm going to want to see how beautiful this ass was.
Like we're printing those.
Like,
those are going in
we're
a
hanging these
album.
on the wall.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was crazy. I thought you were going to talk about the twerking. We were having a dance party upstairs after we were waiting for cake cutting to happen. And at Woodhaven, there is a loft area, if you will. Catalyst. So sorry. Okay. My brain is elsewhere. My brain's on my nudes being exposed to strangers.
Do you want to?
I was gonna say we can go ahead and insert it into the episode so that everybody can see. But no, we were just having a little dance party. Bentley from Honeybee came up. She was the planner for the wedding, and yeah, we were just shaking ass, taking
Nick
names.
Nick can twerk. When she said it, I was like, shut up.
Meg looked at me and was like, if I was
like, if 30, I lost LBs, I'd dance you under the table. She started twerking and I said, was like, oh.
Hold that thought because people don't, but the thing is like, I can't just dance like that normally. People would think I was looking like a stripper on stage.
I see nothing wrong with that.
But you know, people... overly sexualize a lot of that stuff and can be like, you're attention-seeking slut. Yeah. And sometimes I look at people dancing like that and I'm like, you're an attention-seeking slut. Like, what are you doing?
I was impressed, though. Nikki is very unassuming in terms of, like, thinking that she can twerk. And I was like, okay. It's like that video. If anyone's seen that video... Let's be honest, it's of a white lady at a brunch and she's up on a table and there's a bunch of women. But the moment
she hiked that dress up, I knew. Yeah. I knew. When she pulled that, I was like, ready. That's exactly what I do. When I got to hike the pants up a little bit or the dress up a little bit, you know it's on.
You need a little bit more give in
the
trunk.
It's on. Like you need a little bit more space. Yeah. So, I practiced that for a long time.
Work well done.
Like I said, 2015, I remember when I learned how to twerk and I remember being like, oh my God,
this is a superpower.
Okay.
A couple other things we need to round up on. The wolves.
Oh God. No, I don't want to talk about it.
Okay. The wolves are done. Just in case anybody knows, our fiancés
I don't want to talk about
will be fine, but pretty sad. He didn't even watch the whole game.
Neither did we.
Yeah. He was like, okay, well, season's done. And what the fuck else was I gonna say? Did you guys go see Thunderbolts?
No, not yet.
If anyone listening needs a movie to go to especially if you have a man in your life and you're like,
who needs therapy?
This man needs therapy, but I don't know how to tell him. Thunderbolts is a really good option to showcase how important it is to talk to other people about your problems whilst being entertaining, whilst getting to watch Florence Pugh, who I would leave Adam for in a heartbeat. I gotta be
Really?
honest. I gotta be honest. She's just a little nugget. She's so cute.
She's so cute.
You're biting me.
I think she's a wonderful actress as well.
She really is. Do you ever think to yourself, I wonder if I actually tried to do certain things like acting, I do wonder if I would be successful
I think we'd be good at it.
I think we would be too. I think we're great liars. Like we can just no problem.
Things just come it's very like quick-witted. Like we're able to just come up with things pretty quickly. Especially in situations or moments where like it's very unassuming. Like if somebody, a stranger, like sitting here, we have time to think about stuff. But like if somebody on the street comes up to me, I'll be like, meh.
Yeah. I think once I got past the fact that I was acting, I think I could fucking do it.
Yeah.
But I also think we get to an age where I'm like,
I don't want to.
You think I'm going to pursue
an acting career?
No thanks. So
Come
I can
seek me out, babe.
Exactly.
Find
you
me.
see me on the podcast and you go, she'd be great for this indie movie. Great. Put me in.
Call me.
Put me in 2025's Juno. Okay.
Yeah.
That's my dream, is to be in a dumbass movie like that blows up and becomes incredibly popular. Have you ever seen Juno?
Yeah.
I saw that with my dad in the theater. It was a weird one to see with my dad.
Yeah, I was going to say that is a little weird.
Yeah. But my dad and I used to go, super sad because I don't speak to this man anymore. He and I used to go to like a movie a week. Every week we'd go see a movie together. It was just our thing because we love movies, and then we'd go out for food and we'd talk about the movie. I think it's a big reason that I love movies so much. And I think about him all the time when I go see movies. But
talk about therapy.
No, I know. And now I'm kind of like,
yeah.
Sometimes just he's not the same human that he was. So
for sure,
I can separate those things. But I just love going to see movies so incredibly much. I want to see Sinners.
I do too.
Yeah, and I want to see it in the theater. It looks like one.
I do too. Okay,
maybe
let's do that.
I was gonna say maybe we'll try to.
We can do a Tuesday matinee.
Even the Tuesday, let's just talk about money for a second. Tuesday matinee, and we're still spending like $13 to $15 on a ticket.
Yeah.
Are
really?
You kidding
at a
me?
Tuesday matinee? Where are you matineeing at?
That's a good. Maybe I don't go on Tuesdays. Adam and I went to see Thunderbolts.
The Tuesday matinees are like $5.
Okay, this sounds really bad, but when you go on Tuesday and you get the $5 movies, then you got a lot of riffraff around. Then you got everybody who
go during the day. Nobody's there.
Or the people who don't have jobs who are going to shoot you might be
Nobody's doing that.
I don't know. It just scares me.
They would go to a packed version of like The Matrix or something.
Yeah,
they're not shooting up Thunderbolts on a 12 p.m. matinee.
Have you ever been in a movie? You're sitting at your seats, right? The movie hasn't quite started yet. And you see someone walk in and just stand there.
It's a worker.
Scares me. Okay, but if they're not wearing like an AMC shirt, they just are staring, and I'm like, are you about to shoot right now? Like,
do I need to duck?
I'm getting ready.
Trigger warning, by the way, for everybody listening.
In no way am I warning Adam about my thoughts here, because I'm like, look, every man for itself. If someone's got a machine gun, I'm ducking.
You wouldn't instinctively jump in front of Adam?
I would instinctively drop to the ground. That would be my instinct. Adam's instinct truly would probably be to jump in front of me. And for that, I thank him. Last thing, sorry. But we don't have a ton.
Because he's a father.
Oh.
Your kids need you.
Yeah, no one needs Adam except for me. Okay? So, just kidding.
My dog needs me though.
Oh, yeah. Last thing I want to talk about is I did have our consultation with our wedding photographer.
Oh, nice.
Like we did our official discovery call, booked them, all that good stuff. And again, I know everybody does things differently, but I just want to give her a huge shout out because she was very adamant about having a face-to-face, like she's in Oregon, so obviously we can't go get coffee, but having a face-to-face call. And she asked really great questions that I don't even ask people. I've never thought about asking people questions about like our love languages and what do we think is really important to sustain a long-term relationship. Like she really, even if she doesn't care about the answer, she really got Adam and I in our feels about our relationship. Yeah. And in a good way, and I think maybe her point is to suss out like if people are not a great, you know what I mean? Like these people don't really like each other.
Right.
They don't have a lot to say or whatever. But it was really fun. We literally sat in this room and had an hour-long conversation about our relationship. And it wasn't just like, how'd you two meet? There was a lot more to it. And I loved it. I thought it was great. I'm super excited. We're doing like a film-only package. And this is me not liking confrontation. I did have a wedding photographer who, by the way, was my top choice. I saw their work, Vegas elopement, like top choice. And it very quickly became my bottom choice. And I think we had talked about this before, where their process was like, hey, you know, let me know what coverage you're interested in and I'll send you a proposal. And I just was like, me sending you an email about how many hours I want is the bare minimum to me of like a conversation to have before you're sending over a proposal. Even if your process is, well, I send you a proposal, then I send you, or like then we have
meet.
A call.
Sure.
I was just like, it felt very transactional. So
a little impersonal.
It did. And so I wasn't going to say anything. And then she had emailed me. So I gave her that feedback of just like, hey, everybody's entitled to do things their own way. It felt a little transactional when XYZ. I really hope you have a great season, whatever. We did end up going or like moving forward with someone else. And she emailed me back. I deleted the email right away. I didn't even read it.
You're kidding.
I didn't even read it because that's how bad I am with confrontation, where I was like, whatever you have to say is not necessarily going to impact my decision or how I feel about the situation. So what's the point in even reading your email?
I want to know what it says.
It's obviously it's in my deleted folder.
Pull it up right now.
I honestly was like,
Pull it up.
I wonder if I should have Nikki read it.
Yeah, just give it to me. I'll read it on the pod.
Maybe don't read it on the pod. But
hey, bitch.
No, literally.
Thanks for sending this, you stupid.
That's my biggest nightmare.
She wouldn't say that.
I know, but that is literally my biggest nightmare, is that she's like, okay. Let's see if it comes up. When did she send this? Sorry, guys, we're going to have a little lull here. I'll probably cut it out.
I was going to say, you can just trim this whole thing. Trim it. Opie. There you go. You got your bone now, you stupid doggy boy.
I know. Now you seem fine.
There you go.
Who they came to see? Me.
You got your bone. So cute.
Okay. Lordy. For anybody still listening.
Because I know not everyone is comfortable with phone calls. That I don't agree with.
Here's the thing. If I'm not comfortable with phone calls, am I going to be comfortable with a fucking camera in my face?
Right.
And
it's a way to help people become comfortable.
Yeah. And my other thing is, this package I was looking at for this photographer is going to be like $6,000, by the way, which I would have happily paid. So I'm like, yeah, it's a bit of an L. Not for me, but.
Just say it is important to find the right fit for, such a meaningful occasion. And I wish you the best with your elopement.
That was a good response from her. I thought it was going to be a little bit more combative and personal, which is, I think, why I was like,
before that, there is some personal stuff that if I were her, wouldn't have included.
Yeah.
I don't think she owes you an explanation.
Yeah.
For anything. I think you gave feedback and it is what it is.
Yeah.
I don't think she should have given her personal reasons, especially after you're saying you're going with a different vendor.
What's her? Now I'm curious.
She says, I totally understand and appreciate your openness about your decision. I make mention in my initial email at the end of my pricing guide about booking a call with me. I keep this open and optional for my couples because I know not everyone is comfortable with phone calls. As a 2025 bride myself, I feel this way and have appreciated the relationships I've formed with my vendors without having that initial phone call. However, I completely understand or completely see where you two view it differently, and those are also valid feelings. It's so important that you find the right fit for such a meaningful occasion, and I wish you the best with your elopement. If I were her, I would have said, I can completely see where you two view it differently, and your feelings are valid. It's so important to find the right fit. Wish you nothing but the best.
But to talk about like yourself,
there's no reason for her to have included her feelings as a 2025 bride and what she liked doing with vendors. Yeah. I don't think that was necessary, and I don't think it should have been included. I think she should have just said, especially since you already said, no, I'm moving on to somebody else. Thank you. Here's some feedback. Yeah. She could have said, thank you for the feedback. Yeah. Here's, I completely understand why you feel that way. Yeah. And moved on.
I guess for me too, with wedding photographers, you are the expert in what you're doing. So I do struggle when people are like, hey, if you want to hop on a call, we can. Or like, it's your responsibility to tell me if you want to hop on a call. And I'm like, but wouldn't you as the wedding photographer feel more comfortable meeting me? What if this man and I fucking hate each other? Yeah. And what if
you're showing up to a really kind of like unsafe situation for you as the vendor. I don't think you're setting yourself up for success by agreeing to working with a couple before meeting them face to face, before knowing their dynamics, before knowing if you're comfortable. What if you hop on a call and they're using really abusive language to their partner?
What if they drop the N-word on the call and you didn't know it all because you didn't even have a conversation?
And then you show up to the wedding day and they're throwing around slurs or being abusive to each other. Yeah. That is not a situation that I ever want to find myself in. Yeah. And for that reason, I place importance, as I know you do, on meeting with your couples face to face before actually moving forward with a contract, a bookings, putting down your initial payment. Like, I'm not doing that. Yeah.
The only time there has been in the past where I've booked, this maybe happened 2 or 3 times, where I booked a client without meeting them because a planner came to me and said, hey, here's totally a situation different. Like this couple, they're great. I think you guys would vibe, not only personality, but and if you have planners that you trust, awesome. Like, even then though, lately I've been like, let's get on a call. Let's go out for coffee. Just in case, because you can run into some situations even where the planner was bamboozled by a
little just thrown off.
Yeah. So I'm always trying to do that. But to just be like, raw dog a booking, because you see some dollar signs and you're like, well, maybe people aren't comfortable with a call. Again, if you're not comfortable with a fucking phone call, how can you be comfortable with a camera in your face? Right. It just, and I'm sure people are listening right now and they hate me. They're like, Megan, I don't like making my dentist appointments, but I still go to the dentist. I'm like, okay, but wedding photography is so personal.
It is so personal.
And it's, I sent you, just speaking of, my sister's one of those people who as a kid couldn't make a phone call to save her life. She was so nervous. She couldn't, like, my parents tried to really push her to do everything on her own because they knew how nervous she was. So they're like, okay, we got to prep this woman for life. And it made me laugh. I think I sent it was like a meme where it's like, back in the day, I was waking myself up, making myself breakfast, getting myself to school. Like, I was doing all these things. I cannot not empathize, but like I cannot relate to people who get nervous to make a phone call. Yeah. I'm like,
or like ordering a drink at the dinner table when you're out and there's a waitress. Like, make eye contact, ask for a water, say please, and thank you.
And if you can't, you don't need to be at a restaurant. Yeah. Go away.
You're thirsty. You're thirsting. I remember I almost set my whole apartment building on fire when I was like in 5th grade. I put the Chinese leftovers in with at the time they had the metal handle still. And I remember the whole microwave lit on fire, and I was so dramatic. I was such a dramatic child. I'm sitting there like, there's smoke everywhere. I'm like, I'm going to die of smoke inhalation. I'm like laying on the floor.
I feel like you probably buy the microwave just
I'm home alone. Yeah. It was filling the apartment. It was bad. But I was like, I'm going to die of smoke inhalation. I'm like looking for my cat and my hamster. I'm home alone. I'm like, where's Mango? My mom's freaking out. She's like, oh my God, like thinking I'm dying. And I'm like, and I'm like, okay, I'm actually fine. Yeah, I'm just like, so dramatic. No I'm starved for attention because my mom's a crackhead. So
that's why I think I told you I used to cry like
yeah.
When I was a kid. I literally, if I did that as an adult, I would hope someone would assassinate me.
It would be me.
If I had a kid who did that, I think I also would have been like, shut the fuck up. You're fine. You're fine.
We're done.
You're done. Okay.
You're done.
So if any of you forgot what we're talking about because we like to
we were yapping.
See, even a week apart,
Yeah.
We always have stuff to yap about.
We catch up.
Yeah. So we are covering judgments people have about photographers. I'm going to kick us off. And these are comments that people left. So I'm not saying I agree with any of these.
These are not our opinions.
Yeah. We'll tell you our opinions.
Yeah.
So the first one is, I'm a community. I shouldn't be so.
Yep. Don't be a bitch.
I shouldn't
Don't be a bitch.
Okay.
Don't be a bitch. You want me to read this one?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay. I'm a community over competition girly all day long, and I can't stand photographers who are competition over community and treat others like they're below them.
Okay. So the reason that I started reading that with a bitchy tone is because I agree
to a certain
to
extent.
an extent.
Yeah.
I very often find that these people who are like, community over competition, like, I very often feel like what they mean is they've DM'd me. No niceties. No, hello. How are you? How's your day? This is the first time they're ever DMing me. They're asking me a very direct question.
What preset are you using?
What lens did you use? What was your f-stop for this specific photo? And I don't respond.
What are you doing to get your images like this?
Yeah, and they go, gatekeeping. And I go,
well,
I'm going to burn your house down. Like, this is not.
Don't say that.
Okay, well, this is not community over competition. Community over competition to me is like, hey, close friend of mine, and we talked about this on the last one where I was like, you could go location scout, but
you did one of those.
Close friend of mine, I really like this location. Roughly, where is this? Or if you ask, like, to me, again, I can't believe I said what I said, but I look at it now and go like, I feel like if you DM'd me and asked me location, I would tell you. Or if you were like, hey,
obviously.
what camera body or what camera?
You did end up telling me because I was like, excuse me, bitch. Like, what?
Or like,
what do you mean?
What film camera did you use for this photo? Like,
yeah.
I could not imagine me saying like, no, I'm
Figure
not
it
telling
out.
you that.
You
Yeah.
just ghost me.
Yeah.
Forever.
Red, not. I just don't. I like your comment or your question. I don't say anything. But to me, that's it. But we've gotten in this headspace of people need to answer every question that you have. Otherwise, they're gatekeeping. And I think that's dumb.
I think that's dumb too. I think invest in education. If it is a question that merits, like, if I have to type back a freaking paragraph response, invest in education, because
100%.
like at this point I'm giving it to you for free. And like, not that I need to gain anything from it, because somebody has also helped me along the way. But you know who helped me? The people who I paid to help me, because I went to workshops, I studied a lot, I went to a lot of educational retreats and stuff like that. So I don't know. Yeah.
I also feel like I even have questions. I say that like I'm fucking Jose Villa. I'm not, but like I even have questions, and I've started looking at mentors where it's an hour and it's $1,000 to talk to them for 1 hour. And you know what? Do you, boo-boo? If you can charge that, and I feel that there's value in taking an hour of your time to pay $1,000, that's where it is. So these DMs where you're sending a ton of them and you're just expecting responses from people, or you're cold calling, they're cold DMing them and saying like, do you need a second shooter? I'm like, hi, hello, what's your name?
How are you?
How long have you been doing this? Like, it's shit like that where I go, okay. Also, the people talking about community over competition, I've had people that talk about that in our market and then come to me at an event and be like, oh, hi, yeah, I know who you are. How'd you get started? When did you get started? How did you start? Like, it becomes a GQ interview. Yeah. And I'm like, what are we doing? Yeah. Like, this isn't you supporting me or me supporting you. This is just like, you want to get all the info. And it feels pretty
impersonal when it happens like that.
Don't love her.
Yeah. Anyway.
Okay. You shouldn't be a wedding photographer if you aren't a people person. Thoughts?
Do you think you're a people person? I think you are.
I think I am.
Very good at working with people.
I present as a people person.
Yes.
I feel like I can fake it till I make it in literally anything in life. I do feel like I am good with people. That does not mean
that you're a people person.
Well, it doesn't mean that I enjoy it.
Okay.
And that's the hard thing of it is I go, yes, I enjoy a good chunk of the day, but there is a point where Aunt Sally is being a rude lady to me. And I don't feel like a people person in that moment. I don't go, this is a really good opportunity for me to make a connection with Aunt Sally and like really, charm her. No, in my head, I go, it's taking everything in me not to match your energy and be a huge cunt to you.
Yeah.
So I don't really feel like I'm a people person, but I do feel like I am good with people.
Yeah. I do think that in this industry, you do need to be good with people. I don't think that this is a space where you can just show up and not use your outside voice.
Yes.
And not be able to command a room. I have been in situations where I've seen photographers not be able to do that.
Yeah.
And that is not, I don't think it's conducive to couples all of the time to have somebody who cannot take command, take control. If you have somebody on your wedding day where your wedding day needs somebody to take command and control, and let's say they have a planner, but the planner is setting up the reception space, there's absolutely no way that I'm going to let the moment pass by where I'm going to be like, well, everything's out of control now. I don't know what to do. I don't know how to take command of this. I don't know how to talk to people. I don't know how to communicate with people in such a way to get things back on track. That's not going to work on a wedding day.
Yeah.
So yeah, am I going to yell at you to line the fuck up for photos if you're being rowdy? And like, yeah, I'm not commanding you as if I'm in freaking World War II yelling at you, but like I am going to take control of the situation. And I don't think that necessarily means being a people person, but it does mean being able to communicate with people and work with people in such a way that allows them to feel comfortable enough in you and your experience to know that you can get the job done.
Yeah. And let's even take it back from wedding day. When you're on a consultation, you're selling. Like you are selling your services. There we go, Opie. You're selling your services. Like if you can't talk to people, and not only people, strangers. These are absolute strangers. I just go, yeah, that's going to be a little bit of a hard thing because like you said, people want to see your confidence in what you're doing. And so if you are really introverted, like for me, I prefer to be in my basement watching my show. Like I prefer that introverted space, but you put me on a wedding day and I have no problem showing up and showing out to what needs to be done. But it is one of those things where I've heard that from planners where they don't drop names because we're not here to talk shit, but they'll be like, yeah, I had a photographer who like wouldn't like tell people what they needed. They were just like, okay, well, whatever happens. And it's like, no. Like we need a little bit of aggressive or like we need a little bit of zhuzh on a wedding day.
Like you said, confidence. You need to be with somebody, or I guess need isn't the word. You don't need to hire somebody who's fully confident in their ability.
Yeah.
However, it's going to make your life 20 times easier if you do hire somebody and work with somebody who is confident in what they're doing, confident in how they carry themselves, confident in how they communicate with others, and can command a room.
Yeah.
That from witnessing just as a guest or as somebody who's been in a wedding before, I have been in 2 weddings, one photographer from one wedding. I was like, oh no, this is not going to work.
Yeah.
We're not doing it. And that's the wedding where my friend didn't get her picture with the dog and I'm with her dogs. And I'm like, these are things like we need to boom, boom, boom. And then in the other wedding, my cousin, I was like, oh, your photographer has this on lock. I didn't even have to think about it.
Yeah.
I not only trusted her work and her portfolio, but I was able to feel so comfortable with her commanding the entire wedding day that I was like, this girl has got it on lock. Like, trust her with my life.
Yeah. Being able to hit your shutter button is quite literally just like bare minimum of what it takes to be a wedding photographer.
Photographers need to learn the skill set of posing plus-size people. If your whole portfolio is smaller-size people, you might not have mastered the art of posing yet.
Yeah.
I agree 100%.
100%.
And honestly, I was just touching up my like engagement session guide that I send out to all my couples who have engagement sessions with me. And I was looking at some of my inspo photos, and we talked about this. And I realized, like, okay, when I'm pinning inspo stuff to a Pinterest board that I'm sending to couples, I am 100% including all different styles, sizes, colors, genders of people because I want my couples to feel seen and represented and comfortable. And I'm doing my homework and my education on all of that.
Yeah. And it's not even just like plus size, it's different heights.
Yep.
Sometimes, you know, one of you is taller than the other, or vice versa,
or you're the same height.
You're the same height. I don't know if we talked about this on the pod or if we just talked about this separately, but the diversity aspect has nothing to do with posing. But think about the inspo that you're sending to couples. Are you showcasing diverse couples? Size, skin color, height, like all of these different things. Are you showcasing that not only in your work, because your work, that's only so much in your control.
Right.
If you're
you can
saying
only
no,
get what you can get.
Yeah. If you're saying no to couples because you're like, oh, they're plus, like, yeah, you're a fucking piece of shit.
Yeah.
If that's the route that you're going. But if you just didn't happen to have a couple of a different, you know, of a diverse nature, so that's only so much in your control. But I think it's really important, not only in the inspo, but in your own work to showcase everybody. And I will say for me, on my feed, I'm very specifically posting things like they say, post what you want to attract, right? Like, so if a color scheme wasn't necessarily something that I love, I may not put it smack dab on my feed. But what I'm doing for every single wedding I shoot is I'm making like a little collage and I'm putting it on my stories and then I'm saving it as a highlight. Like I want everyone to see every wedding I shoot, real couples, not just styled shoots, not just, you know, picture perfect, quote unquote, because I don't think that's picture perfect. And as someone who has definitely struggled with like thinking about my own wedding photos and thinking, okay, I mean, Adam and I are not the most aesthetic people and I don't live an aesthetic life. Like I'm just trying to get through my days. Yeah. I am not trying to like every time I go out, it has to be 18,000 pictures. And I'm happy for the people who do that. But like I sit here and I go, are my photographs going to be something that my photographer is proud to showcase, even one or two on their stories? I shouldn't have to think about it. No. I shouldn't have to care. It is a piece of life, though. So when you do have a wedding photographer who, like, shoots your wedding and does not show a single nothing, not a behind the scenes, not a sneak peek, not a preview, like, absolutely nothing over and over and over again, but then they'll post the same wedding over and over and over again, I'm like, that doesn't feel good probably to the people who paid them $7,000 to shoot the wedding. So
I agree. I definitely think that if you can't figure it out, then you might not have mastered the art of posing. I agree with that.
Also, I'm going to say something crazy. If you yourself are a plus size person and you don't know how to pose plus size people, you don't work with them, you don't post them intentionally. To me, that is a whole other level of evil and of like diabolicalness, if that's a word. Like if you are so hell-bent on showcasing what your idea of beauty is, where I go, we're all beautiful, you're plus size yourself. Like I think about that as someone who's, and what did we hear that the other day? A high calorie
person.
A high calorie person. I don't care what you look like, whatever. I just care if you're not a fucking asshole. But
me too.
To me, that's the kind of stuff. Or if I had someone who was, you know, let's say it's a black photographer and they will not showcase black work, I go,
that's weird.
That's insane.
That's actually weird.
Like it's all weird. That's an internal thing where I go, what internal is going on?
Kind of hatred.
Yeah.
I will say I love working with my plus size girlies. I did a whole shoot that was featured in Minnesota Bride last year for the girlies at Lux Bridal.
Yeah.
And they're all plus size models. They are all Lux is a plus size bridal boutique, and I fucking adore them. Yeah. And they are no less of a fucking baddie, even more of a baddie actually. Like they're just so confident and they carry themselves so well, and they know, like they were hitting these poses and I was like, my girl Gianna, shout out to Gianna, she's like an influencer on Instagram, but she does the social media over at Lux Bridal. Okay. Just a fucking boss. Yeah. She's like gonna be on Broadway one day. She's out here doing all her reels, TikToks. I'm like, how do I blow up on social media like this? How do I get paid? Can you please show me your ways? Can you please tell me what to do? Yeah. Because you're hitting all these poses, and they truly helped me learn like a lot of the poses that they were comfortable with, that they really liked to showcase. And they also, something that when we did our initial call for their branding shoot or for their spread, they told me, we've worked with a lot of photographers who put us in poses where we feel like we are hiding ourselves, where we feel like they want our arms to look smaller, or they kind of assume that I, as a plus size model, want to make myself appear smaller when I am confident in the body that I am in, and I want to showcase how my arms look. And we really want to work with somebody who can highlight all of these things that others might want us to hide. And I was so honored in a way to feel like, thank you so much for choosing to work with me and trusting that I would never put you in a situation where I feel like you might want to look smaller. And I have had people be like, can you hide my double chin? Can you do this? However, I think you reshared recently, I am a makeup artist, not a plastic surgeon. We are photographers, not plastic surgeons. I would love to highlight and showcase your beauty. I cannot take things away that are yours.
I'm not making you look like a different person.
Exactly.
That's not my goal.
And it's not my job.
Yeah. Agreed.
Anyway.
Okay. Hoozle. Alrighty.
This is a longer one.
Okay. I cringe when I see photographers posting on their stories about how behind they are on editing, or how they've been out of the office the last 7 days, or I've been having a really rough month. I neglected A, B, and C. You're running a business, sis. I promise you it does not look good to your potential or current clients to see that coming from a professional. You'll lose trust. Please just text or email your clients individually and let them know what's going on. I do agree with this to an extent, because I'm all about showcasing like what's going on behind the scenes on my stories, where I'll just be like, hey, I had a chest cold. Like, I'll work on DMs tonight or something. What I'm not going to do is be like, hey guys, I've been having a really hard time this week. I'm behind on 7 galleries.
I would never do that.
You know, I know we're past our contract date, but I'm really working on it. Like,
never. That is something I would never do. I do think that there is a level of transparency, especially with social media, that is acceptable, and honestly that I encourage. Because it does allow people to see that A, you are human.
You're a real person,
B, you know, real life things happen, and they happen to the best business people that you know of. And it is okay. I am such an advocate for like being really transparent on like mental health and all of that stuff too. And it's like, it's okay to showcase that you're having maybe a rough day, a rough week, that you're kind of going through it, but to fully put out there and like, you know, fully just get into the fact that you're late on galleries or this, and that. You don't need to get into the specifics. I think highlighting just that transparency as a whole is one thing, but getting into the specifics of what you're behind on, what you're late on, what you haven't done is not in the best interest of your business. I do think like emailing your clients individually and just saying, hey, I'm so sorry. Here's what's going on. I am working on it. Here's a new deadline date, blah, 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 whatever.
Yeah. If it impacts a handful of people, let them know.
Reach out to them individually.
For me, when I'm like, hey, I'll work on DMs tomorrow, that's because I have 30 DMs. I have 10 emails I'm working on. Like,
and also DMs are not the preferred method of communication when we have links in our bio. I totally understand people who do DM me. I'm not like, oh, go fill out a contact form. I would never do that. But I do say, hey, what's your email address? Let's move things over to email and we can talk that way.
I think I need to do a better job in my intro emails, like a couple books. I need to do a better job of saying like, here's my contact information, you know, DM, like, and set a little bit of expectation around like DMs could take, it becomes a dark hole of DMs. So like, email me if it's something important, or if it's something wedding related, email me. Because email is typically where my mind, and I used to tell people like, oh, just text me. Texts also become a just drier, where single socks are getting missed because I'm like, I can't do it.
Very skilled photographers only charging $1,200 for 10 hours at a wedding. Cough, cough, Utah. I'm assuming photographers in Utah are charging nothing. Well, that's dumb.
Insane. It is insane. And Utah is gorgeous. Absolutely gorgeous.
Did you write this?
No, I know, right? I'm like, I just write how I feel in these notes. I promise these are comments other people love. They're not wrong. I did a mentorship with a Utah photographer years ago, and I love her so much. Shout out Kylie McCann. But, I know you got married, babe. Sorry. But Kylie, I don't remember what the last name is. But she had mentioned, like, so many people are becoming photographers in Utah, youngins, 18 years old.
That's what we're seeing.
$1,200 to them is
nothing. I mean, that's a lot. That's a lot to an 18-year-old.
Everything
for a wedding.
Where they go, oh my gosh, yes, because they should be working over at Swig for $8 an hour.
Right.
So to be able to, make $1,200 on a weekend is huge to them. But then you have all of the photographers who are very good at what they do, trying to pay their mortgage, and they're getting beat out by $1,200 photographers.
Yeah.
And I will tell you right now, if that bullshit came to Minnesota, I'm not lowering my prices. Go with the 18-year-old. Let's see how it goes.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's great photography, but there is so much more than just, we talked about this on the last other submission. It is so much more than just pressing a button.
Yep.
That is I got to be honest, click, easiest part.
Easiest part of the job.
Easiest part of the job. And so I just couldn't imagine. Or seeing those reels of people where they'll be like, this is what my most popular package is. 18 hours of coverage, second photographer, fucking third photographer.
$600.
Yeah, engagement session. And it's like $2,500. And everyone's like, oh my God, how do I book you? How do I book you? I wish I didn't book another photographer. And I go, there is a reason. If it seems too good to be true.
It is.
It is. There's a reason that when I first started, I was charging nuts because I look back at that and I go, I was actually very good at what I was doing for how new I was, but there are so many lessons that I have learned. There is thousands of hours of working on my editing and my shooting and all of this different stuff. And word to the wise, if a price for anything, not just photography, feels too good to be true, probably is.
It might be.
Yeah. Okay. Photographers who limit the amount of photos they give, like 8 to 10 for a single session, and then they charge extra for more photos. This isn't for models where serious retouching is needed. I'm talking about a family session. Like, how can you limit photos to 8 to 10? What the hell? We might differ on this.
Okay, I want to know what you think.
Get your bag. If you can do that, if you can charge $500 for a family session with the expectation that you are giving them 10 photographs and then they can buy more if they'd like, I'm not saying I like it, but if you can do it, by all means.
We do differ.
By all means.
I don't agree.
And here's my thing. This is exactly why. I give 1,000 photos for a wedding gallery. I don't need to do that.
I know. They're not using 1,000 photos.
They're maybe, quote unquote, using 100 of them.
Yeah.
Whether that goes on their wall, they print it in an album, whatever.
Social media, even, whatever.
The whole gallery is about telling a story and the experience of it. If I could shoot a family session and I deliver 60 to 100 photos, again, they're probably using 10 or less photos. So I just kind of sit there and I go, $500 is fairly cheap for a family session. And then you get the 10 photos. Let's say you get to pick your 10 photos that you wanted.
I will say, in this economy, I don't think people would even agree that $500 is cheap for a family session for 8 to 10 photos.
That's fair.
Because photography is a luxury service. Yeah. It is not something that is like, not everybody can afford it, and not everybody values even the art of photography to say, like, I'm going to pay $500 for a session. Yeah. I know some of my coworkers at the hospital who have asked, like, well, how much would this be to do this? And I tell them very reasonable in my eyes for what I provide pricing for the services that I'm giving. And they're like, oh my God, I cannot afford that. And I'm like, I totally get that. I totally see that.
Isn't it crazy how our perspective changes a little bit being a wedding photographer? And I go, because so many people were asking me about family sessions. So I was like, fine, this year, let me launch them. Okay. I launched them. Don't look at me crazy. I launched them for $750 for an hour, film and digital. Okay. And then I said, any Louis couples though, whether you've already had your wedding or not, but you're booked in for a package, knock $150 off. So $600 for an hour, film and digital. And there were a lot of people who were like,
I can't afford
swing
that.
it, which I totally get. I do get, but also I sit there and I go, well, let's say I charge $300. Each roll of film is $50.
Well, then don't do film.
I mean, that's fair, but I want the galleries to look a specific way. I actually was thinking, tell me how crazy this sounds. I don't know why I'm whispering or getting growly. I was thinking about offering sessions completely for free, but then you have to pay for the photos that you want. Session's free. You can pay per photo.
I don't like it.
Yeah, tell me why.
I don't like it because I think, okay, so how much are you charging per photo?
Probably like $20.
So somebody could be like, okay, I want one photo.
Yeah, they
That's
could.
And you're wasting an hour of your time?
But here's the thing. I'm confident enough that they're going to want more than one photo. And I've seen people do photographers talk about like quote unquote making more money with your sessions or with your weddings, whatever. And they'll talk about like in-person sales. They will literally make these couples or these families come to view the gallery together and then sell products in the moment. To me, that's more work on my part. I don't want to do that.
100%.
But I really do think that if I did a family session and I, in the gallery, put 200 to 300 photos and was like, hey, you can pick the ones that you want. They're $20 a photo. I'm willing to bet that I could at least make $400 to $500.
But even then, this goes back to what we were just talking about. You're delivering 1,000 photo gallery.
Yeah.
They're using 100. You're delivering a 60 to 100 photo gallery. They're using maybe 10 to 20. So what makes you think that they're going to be buying all of these extra images when in reality we're the ones sitting here saying people are only using 10 to 20 of these photos?
That's true. But you know what you do for family sessions? This is so diabolical. And if any of my couples are listening, I'm not going to do this. I'm just going to charge a flat fee and give you all the great photos. But you could be like, okay, now dad with daughter, now dad with son, and like do different combinations. So it's like, well, if you buy one, you kind of got to buy a couple of these or you just buy the one full family shot. And I just wasted probably 5 hours after editing.
Exactly my point. And that's why I don't love the thought even of taking a full session and being like, here's 8 to 10 photos that you get back, because then it just becomes more work on my end to have them come back to me and be like, well, was there a different option? I don't like the way that I was smiling in this one. I might like the way that I was smiling in a different one. Yeah. Or I think I look bad in this photo. Like, can I see the other options of photos? And maybe I want this one instead and blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
When in reality, I can just give you the 60 to 100 photos and be like, here, you're paying for them already. Choose the ones that you want and leave me the fuck alone.
Yeah.
Not that I want people to leave me the fuck alone, but in reality, that gives me the opportunity and the time to move on to the next gallery or to move on to the next client, to move on to the next booking, to move on to the next call without having to have this constant back and forth communication.
Yeah.
And even with delivering larger galleries and being like, here's the photos, we do still get some people who come back to us and we're like, can I do this, this, and that? But then you have the opportunity to say like, hey, you get all of the images back in your gallery. You have options here to choose from.
Yeah.
I can't go back with every single photo and edit your bra strap out. Like, for one, I should have been visualizing that while I was already shooting you. Yeah. But for two, maybe you should have worn a different bra. Like, there's things there that I'm like, I now have the ability and opportunity to say like, yeah, I'm not upselling you images. Like, I gave you your gallery back.
Yeah. These are all the best photos.
Enjoy them.
If you're a photographer, I would love to hear in the comments, like, how do you handle this shit?
I do know that it is a great way for people to make that extra money. Like you said, like, get that bag, get that money. I just don't agree with it because I do already think that photography is a luxury service. If you are working with families who live on Lake Minnetonka in $6 million homes, $1 million homes even, who can easily afford that lifestyle, that's a different market that we're talking about. You're dabbling in the luxury market. You're dealing with people who are rich. Yeah. You're not dealing with, the median average income family who's like, I really want some family photos. Yeah. What do you charge?
Yeah.
So I think it just depends on who you're dealing with.
I agree. It depends on the client base. You might have a bunch of families who are used to that model of like, great, we do photos with Nikki once a year.
Right.
She gives us 8 to 10 photos, and those are the 8 to 10 photos that we like to use, and we move on with her. But yeah, for everybody, not necessarily the case.
Yeah.
Really good point, Knick-Knack.
Where are we at? Okay. 1, no backup gear. This is a really diabolical one. Did you write this?
No, I promise I didn't.
1, no backup gear. 2, oversaturated photos. 3,
This sounds like I wrote this.
This
I promise I didn't.
100%.
I'll go find the @ of who wrote this because I did it.
3, fake film photos. We know you just added green. 4, standing in the middle of the aisle longer than needed. Okay, so these are their hot takes on photographer. And I guarantee you, like you said when we were opening, 90% of these are written by other photographers. They're not written by the average client who's just there on a wedding day, because nobody who's an average client is noticing like, oh, fake film photos.
Yeah.
Or standing in the aisle long, whatever, like no backup gear.
I agree with all of these except for standing in the middle of the aisle for longer than needed. Leave me alone because
leave me alone on that one.
I don't know. Like, yeah, there's a general flow of a ceremony, but like something could happen at any moment. And
you don't know.
I would like, if I've already gotten my tight detail shots from the sides, I would like to be in the middle for those moments. Maybe I'll hang back a little farther. Good, piece of advice. But number 1, no backup gear.
Diabolical.
And everybody.
And this is specific for a wedding day. We'll put that out there.
I had a video that I posted where I was like packing and it was like anxiety, la, 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 la. And I was packing for a wedding day and I had my two mirrorless cameras, one on each hip. I had one backup digital, my 5D Mark IV. Okay. Those are my digital. And then I had 2 film cameras. Okay. And I'm packing these all up. People in my comments were like,
you need all that shit.
Overcompensating much. La, 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 la. And I go, this is to me, a fairly decent, like, yes, I understand it's a lot.
This is a conservative amount of
but I was
gear.
like, I have one backup camera and a couple film cameras. And then obviously my main set. But I'm just like, leave me the fuck alone. And then people are like, I just go to a wedding with one camera, one lens. And I go,
diabolical.
What's going to happen when it stops working? What's going to happen?
You're getting sued.
Yeah. I'm like, okay.
You're giving money back.
Good for you. Or people would be like, oh, you're rich. When I have a lot of gear and people call me rich, I go, no, you're misunderstanding. It's the opposite.
This is where all the money goes.
I'm broke. Give me money, please. Give me $20. Like, I'm broke. What are you talking about? This is where all my money goes. So you guys can fuck off with like being so mean about my gear. Oversaturated photos.
I am not going to yuck someone's yum. I'm not. If the client likes it and if that's your style and they know that that's what they're getting into, you do you, boo boo. It's not my style. I truly sometimes I'm like, do I even know what the fuck my style is? I'm still trying to figure it out.
Thank you.
Like, I don't know who I am. I'm 32 years old.
I just had 2 engagement sessions and both of them I was editing just a couple sneak peeks. And I was like,
identity crisis.
Yeah.
I don't know who I am. But yeah, so if somebody loves the oversaturated look, fine, you do you. And if your client loves it, fucking get that bag, bitch.
Yeah.
The fake film photos, we know you just added grain. Here's what I will say. When I do my consult calls, I walk through different photographs that I've shot personally, and I talk my clients or potential clients through lighting situations.
That is so fucking smart.
Yes. I talk them through like, this is what an image looks like in full sun. Same couple, same day. This is what it looked like when it became overcast.
Yeah.
So you can see the difference. Same day. However, the coloring looks different because I shoot true to color. I'm not matching every single photo to look the exact same. So you can see the difference of what the day looked like. Here is what a film simulated photo looks like, because I'm not shooting film at every wedding.
Yeah.
If you want the film look, I can make a duplicate of some of the photos, or I will use my best artistic judgment in saying, hey, this photo didn't look great in color or normal color. It's not photographing great, but it looks great with a film simulation.
Yeah.
I don't give a fuck if you think I just threw a fucking grainy preset on there.
Yeah.
Because I did.
Yeah.
What's it doing to you? Am I hurting your feelings in doing that? Are you losing money by me doing that?
Yeah.
No, I'm the one who bought the preset, bitch.
Yeah.
Like,
and if you're talking, like if you're discussing that with your client,
and they know,
here's the film simulation, I think there's nothing wrong with that.
Because I have had couples ask me, well, do you shoot film? It looks like you have some film photos. And I have said, I gave this rundown in a previous episode, so I'm not going to go through the whole thing.
Yeah.
I have a film camera. I've shot film for personal reasons, and I've shot film at one very specific wedding, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
Right? I'm not getting into it. However, if you like the look, here's what it can look like with a film simulation if you don't want to add on a full film package.
You want to pay for it.
Right.
Yeah. Agreed.
Done.
I think, and we've talked about this before, when I see people, number one, some of y'all who are creating these film simulators or
you
film
need a little
presets,
more education
I'm
on
like,
the films.
This looks gnarly.
And it doesn't look anything like what actual film looks like.
Not any film stock I've ever seen in my fucking life.
Yeah.
It doesn't look like it. Number two, as long as the clients know it is what it is.
Yep.
I just posted about this because I was so annoyed. Pocket Dispo. I'm calling you out for a second. I have a Pocket Dispo.
Do you?
Dispo. I love it for throwing it on, and I'll like throw it on my R6 on a dance floor, put a flash on, and it's like you can't focus. It's all, probably F16 or whatever. You're not focusing, you're not anything. And I just like to get some like nitty-gritty images with it. When I see them looking at my stories and all of a sudden a Pocket Dispo ad comes up and it goes, unlimited film photos, I go, shut the fuck up. That is so
misleading.
Lying. It is lying. You are selling a product based on a lie, and you are trying to get photographers to think like, well, I could just shoot this Pocket Dispo and sell these as film photography.
No.
Because the thing is, photographers aren't just adding this very often and then saying like, oh yeah, it's just like, whatever, a product that I can use to make photos look a little bit more filmy. They're probably selling film and they're probably making more money off of it. And I just sit there and I go, this is shitty. I don't like it. So Pocket Dispo, I feel like you should take those ads down, because any photographer worth their salt, I think, looks at that and goes, oh, okay. I mean, you already got $50 from me, so you don't give a fuck what I have to say because I bought one for fun. But
right.
Anyways,
I would like to try it though.
Yeah. It goes on the RF mount or whatever, so I'll throw it your way. What else did they say? Oh, standing in the middle of the aisle.
We covered that.
Yeah, but no, I didn't write that, even though I definitely agree.
That's
with
so
that.
funny.
Photographers need to actually stick to their timeline. Vibes are not enough when paying you to do a job. My photographer was 40 minutes late the day of.
Okay, that's crazy.
To me, that's not vibes. That's
diabolical.
Yeah.
That's just being late and fucking stupid.
I could not, unless I got in a car accident and had to call an Uber teen to bring my ass to your wedding, then I'm going to be on time. Actually, I'll be 40 minutes early because I can't help myself. But
I think like the sticking to a timeline thing, though, and talking about vibes, I agree 100%. Like we were talking about previously, having the confidence in your ability to run a wedding day. Because yes, while there are planners and planners and day of coordinators who are there to essentially help run the day, they're not by your side as the photographer telling you what to do, keeping you on time. It is your full responsibility to keep track of the timeline and to run things as smoothly as possible and to have confidence in doing it.
I actually just had a planner tell me, we weren't like dropping names, but we like to share like, what experiences have you had with a planner that are bad?
Yeah.
What experiences have you had with a photographer? And a planner friend of mine said she had a photographer where it was literally 10 minutes before the ceremony and she could not find the couple. And the couple was out back taking photos with the photographer. And she was like,
we have to go.
We have to go. Like, we're getting lined up for the ceremony. And the photographer was like, oh man, I didn't even realize what time it was. Like, I don't have my phone on me, la 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 la. And she was like, are you fucking kidding me? So she even talked about that, where like this photographer was very like vibes and very, whatever, nothing.
But you have guests showing up for your wedding day. Your guests aren't running off vibes. They're running off seeing you walk down the aisle, kissing for the first time.
Stationery.
Yeah. Kissing, for the first time, celebrating you, getting a drink after, eating and having fun with you for the rest of the night. Like, nobody's there to be like, oh, we're running off vibes today. And I am a very documentary-focused, vibey type of a girl.
Yeah.
But to a certain extent, this is still a job. Unless you have a client who's hiring you and saying, we don't want a timeline, we want to flow with the day.
Yeah.
Fine. That's what you're paying for then. Yeah. But if you're paying for me helping you, A, plan this timeline, B, executing the timeline with full confidence in my ability to do so.
And also, the whole day can be vibes, but like the ceremony is
still vibe.
Legitimately the one time that's kind of like a set time.
And that you can't recreate.
You just
like
got
you're showing up.
Yeah.
You're running through it.
Vibe the whole day. Because we do that on wedding days. We'll be like,
we be vibing.
We just took photos for a straight 20 minutes. Let's chill for a little bit. Go get some water. Get a drink.
Vibe?
Yeah,
Let's
like
vibe.
You want a White Claw? Let's vibe. And then we'll get back to it. But to be so like, oh, I don't know what time it is.
No.
What the hell?
No, that's not how that works, guys. Photographers who focus more on getting the perfect shot they think they need and interrupting the moment that the client is experiencing.
Yeah.
I agree.
And I think that that's about knowing your client. Luckily, I'm not a very like, oh, I need everything to be editorial and posed and blah, 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 blah. But if I have a second shooter who I'm like, they're throwing things out in prompts that they want to try that are so not the couple.
Yeah, I'm
like,
not doing that.
I'm like, right now it does seem like you're trying to get this more for your portfolio than what this couple is actually liking. They seem very uncomfortable, and I'm going to cut you off right now.
Yep.
Like,
my
real
thing
quick.
for this season is intentionality and just being super intentional with what I'm shooting and trying not to overshoot everything or overthink about it and then get into this overshooting mode, because it is not helpful to the couple. And it's really not helpful to me when I go to call this gallery and I'm like, fuck, why do I have so many pictures? Why do I have so many images? It's like, why am I doing that to myself when, especially if you know the client, you know the vibe of the client, you know what they want, get what they want and let them enjoy the day. Like, don't force it.
Do you ever feel like I have this constant battle in my head of people who are wanting like a more candid day, but also being so worried that if I don't deliver them galleries or a gallery with a set of stunning portraits, like a solid 45 minutes of couples portraits, I get so worried. Or like they're getting dressed with mom, let's say, okay, typically, let's say the bride is getting dressed with mom. And I worry that if I don't kind of set them up a little bit, I worry that they're going to be like, well, what the fuck? Like, yes, she was helping in my dress, but it doesn't look very aesthetically pleasing. I worry that I go, well, in one way, me like saying, okay, let's set her up. Let's get the dress fluffed. And now, mom, I'm going to have you stand there. In one way, I worry that they don't like that. But then I also worry that I'm going to deliver the photos where mom was just in there, you know, whatever. And they're going to be like, why didn't you make this look better? And couples can say whatever they want before the wedding day. They can say, I want candid. I want, you know, this like fully. But I feel like I need to figure out a better way to have these conversations ahead of time of how much do you want me to interject? How much do you want me to, I'm not going to tell you exactly what you need to say to each other and when you need to hug and whatever, but do you want me to set up the scene and then you take it from there?
Well,
and
I think that's a good question to ask. Do you want me to set up the scene?
How I just said that is exactly what I think we need to ask.
To set up the scene?
Yeah.
And then you can take it from there.
And then you do what you want to do.
Or do you want it to be a fully in the moment, surrounding might look a mess?
Yeah.
Things may not be as picturesque as a gallery example that I've shown you, but that's how it happened on your day.
Yeah.
Which do you prefer? Because when I shot the wedding in Mexico, my Mexico bride was very, very keen on documentary. Like, I don't want to do the posy things. And she fucking loved her gallery, the way that it was delivered. There were 8 girls shoved into my room, actually, in the villa.
Yeah.
Fully in a train, trying to get each other ready, helping each other out. That's what she loved and she wanted. My suitcases are all over the floor.
Yeah. It's like,
shit is everywhere. That's what she wanted.
Yeah.
She did not want to be set up in a scene. It just didn't feel like her. So I think you definitely have to just have those conversations. And like you said, knowing, a couple can say whatever they want beforehand, but then that's what they get. Yeah. Sorry, that's what we talked about. I gave you an example of what it looks like to have a fully in the moment, or I've set up the scene for you to visualize it and mentally picture it. You are making the decision. And on the day of, if you change your mind and you say, hey, Meg, like, actually, we do want you to set us up and help me out here. Totally fine.
Yeah.
That's okay. Happy to do it. But if you're like, no, I don't want to move. Like, I'm fine here. I don't need to move. Perfect example. I did a branding shoot. Yes. The day before yesterday.
Yeah.
For a florist, Bumble Floor. Love her. Brooke. Amazing. She wanted a photo, very specific photo of all of these flowers in her bag with her logo on it. Mm-hmm. She put all the flowers in there, and I instinctively just went, oh, shoot, do you want to get a couple more to even out? Because it's really uneven. One side's a lot higher and the other's lower. And she looked at me and she was like, I actually like really like it like that.
Yeah.
in my photographer brain, I was like, fuck, like shit. My instinct was just to go to, well, I'm just so used to making everything even and curating and leveling things out. In her head, she was like, this is representative of me and my brand, and this is what I like.
I like that.
And I was like, oh shit, I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
Whatever you want to do, girl, I love it. If you love it, I love it.
Yeah. I think I would love to get to a point in my career where I did have a very, very distinguished style. I know, when couples come to me, they do love my work overall. They're like, I just feel like there's something about it. I love it. But I don't feel like they can place what it is about it, and I can't place what it is about it. I do feel like it is inherently me. I do feel like it's a good mixture of candid and posed and all this stuff. And the editing, I try to stand apart from a lot of stuff that we see in the Twin Cities. But I would love to get to a point where I have a very specific style where I'm not really having to ask those questions of, what do you want? It's just like, no, this is how I do what I do. But then also you ride the line. This is me getting in my head a little bit about it, where I go, okay, you look at these, not even luxury photographers, but just like higher end photographers who are shooting higher end weddings and all this stuff. And they're all very, outside of like Daniel Kim. Daniel Kim is very candid and messy, but in a beautiful way. And I know that he's a highly sought after photographer, but for the most part, everybody else is very like, oh, they're at a chateau in fucking France and all this stuff. And I go, can you still be compensated decently, be highly sought after for like weddings like that, these beautiful spaces, whatever, these couples who are so madly in love, but also do what you want to do instead of do what they want you to do. Like, you are more an artist versus an employee. And how do you ride that line? And do you just say, fuck the money, I'm just going to do what I want to do. If people like it, if not, that's fine, whatever. I don't know. I'm always in my head about that, of which way do I want to lean? Because then I go to this styled shoot and it's very editorial and very stunning. But I'm sitting there the whole time and I go, well, I'm not posing these couples like the other people are, because I'm not going to do that with people on a real wedding day. I'm not going to be like, hold each other's faces and look longingly and like, and do all of this. It's just not my style. So I'm also not really wanting to showcase that on my feed. But in the same breath, I go, well, is that what it's going to take to get quote unquote higher end bookings and to keep pushing myself professionally? Like, it's not necessarily just about the money. It's about, I just always want to be doing something bigger and better with my work. And does that mean I have to conform what I want to do on wedding day?
I definitely struggle with that too, because I love being creative and just kind of free flowing and like just doing whatever. Like, I love the opportunity to just use my creative brain instead of using my posing brain and prompting brain and this and that. And I struggle with the ability of thinking to myself like, well, I don't have a space to be creative in, even because it is not what is sought after in a business sense. So I do think that there is just always going to be this internal struggle as a creative, as an artist. I think every single artist, no matter the medium or whatever they do, I think everybody struggles with that internally. And I think that's just one of those things about being a creative that others might not understand, that it's always going to be an internal struggle of, should I do more of this or should I do more of that? Or once you do get to a point, but I do think people who do find that very specific style have likely always lived in that space and have never deviated from it and have stayed in that space. And that is what they take ownership of. And they say, this is me. If you like it, you like it. If you don't book me.
Yeah. And people will find them.
And I think we struggle with that, though, a little bit, in saying like, well, we do still need to pay our bills. Yeah. So it is kind of the struggle of saying, I cannot fully lean into that entirely creative side of me because fortunately this is a job, but unfortunately this is a job.
Yeah. Okay, guys, full disclosure, we literally yapped so long on this episode that our battery fucking died, which has never happened to us before. So we had to splice this a little bit. So if we look a little different or sound a little different, that's why.
My legs are out.
Yeah, legs are out.
If you're watching.
Is that tan or is that Ecuadorian? or a little bit of both?
It's a little bit of both. Honestly, my chest and my arms started
How white
peeling.
my legs are.
Because I got a lot of sun exposure, but then the sun went away, and it's like, can you come back? I need the UV 7, 8, 9, 10.
I don't.
No,
I don't.
you do not.
And I wish that I was a tan person, but then I go, alabaster skin is very beautiful.
It's
but
very unique.
But I don't look like Elle Fanning or Dakota Fanning. Like, they are translucent.
It suits you, though. Like, it suits you. I can't picture you being, like, wildly tan.
Yeah.
I would be concerned that you were, like, trying to do blackface. I'd be like,
true.
Okay,
You're
Meg.
Like, Meg, this is taking it
This
too
is
far.
a little too much. Or, like, the lady who, like, the severe tanning people who are, like, bleach blonde, super tan. Like, if I think about you as a tan, that's what I would picture or envision.
I like how you're calling it like a tan.
As a tan.
Like
it's a race.
Yeah, that's exactly. Yeah, as a tan. I don't love it.
I don't know about that.
But really quick, I wanted to throw it out there because since this episode's so long, we're not gonna do a mini. I say we just fucking roll with this one.
We're rolling with it.
Because the last thing we were talking about is photographers who focus more on getting the perfect shot they need and interrupting the moment that they're experiencing, which leads me to a video that I saved on our Instagram that I wanted to cover in the mini, but we might as well cover it now.
Yeah, anything mini related, let's just jump into now, and then at the end of this, we'll do 2 outros and an intro for the mini.
I like it. I like it. Okay, so have you seen this video? Hold on, let me pull her up. I am just gonna play it for everybody, but I'll post it if you're watching on YouTube or the Spotify.
Turn it to me.
It's so quick, so we're gonna have to like play it twice, but it's gonna be loud.
Gotta wait till I'm centered with a thing. Gotta wait till I'm centered with a thing.
So essentially what's happening in this video is the bride and groom are going in for a kiss up
for
at the
their
altar.
first kiss that they were just announced man and wife for.
And the media team, you can hear them going, no, 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 no.
Too early.
Too early. I need to be in the middle for this shot.
You need to wait till I'm set up with the thing.
Yeah. So talk about photographers or let's say media teams who focus more on getting the perfect shot and interrupting the moment.
Jail.
I saw it and I was like, bro, that is diabolical. Like, what would you even do? Let's say if that was the videographer that did that and we're the photographer, what do you do?
I'm yelling. I'm fighting. I'm full blown, like, what's Fight Club? I'm Fight Clubbing you. I'm pulling you into the basement of that venue and I'm beating you up.
I would be so hard for me not to immediately look over and be like, are you fucking kidding me?
I would do it.
I give that look already at people on wedding days when they're like, fake laugh at each other. I'm like, shut up. I'm like, don't tell them to do that. I can't imagine my face if someone stopped a first kiss and the couple just looked so kind of like, is this happening right now? Is it happening right now? So anyways,
jail.
One more.
Okay.
I want maybe 18 more, but you guys can listen to this.
Shout out to like wedding photographers because, and I'm talking specifically about like women wedding photographers because they be putting in the work. You know, I'm a videographer, so I just chill. You know, I sit behind and I let them direct the whole day. If there's no wedding coordinator, they be coordinating the whole thing. I was like, dang, girl, you go. You know, like, it's crazy how much work they do. And then I just be chilling. You know, I'm like, okay, what she said, you know. And then they're like, everybody get over here. Line up. Boys, what are you doing? I was like, dang. All right. I like it. But yeah.
That is so true about the boys yelling at the fucking groomsmen.
Here's what I'll say. Couldn't agree more.
Yeah.
I could not agree more. I've been in situations and I love a videographer, but it is almost an unspoken expectation for the photographer to take lead, to take charge, to command. like we've said hundreds of times, to confidently command the situation on a wedding day to keep the day going and flowing. Even when we were at Corey and Derek's wedding, I was yelling at those boys. Them boys were rowdy. They were talking. Rowdy. They were talking crazy. Yeah. We love it. We can hang with the best of them.
We try to still like stay personable, and we're joking, but we're funny. also like
get it
attention.
Together. Yeah. So I looked over. Nobody was coming over for Meg's groomsmen photos, and I straight up outdoor big girl voice. Sunglasses off, phones out of pockets, nothing in your pockets, top button buttoned. I need everybody lined up over here. And Meg just looked at me and she's like, my girl.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Because here's my thing. I don't mind screaming at people, but you don't want to do it all day either. In that moment, like I'm getting the groom over, I'm walking over with him, no one's following, whatever. Again, my second shooter for the day, she's great. She's doing like candid things from really, really far away. Nikki's not even second shooting for me. She's doing content, but she jumps in that moment. She knows Meg needs these fucking boys over here. So I'm getting them over there. Yeah. And I just, in my heart, I was like, that's my girl.
But imagine you don't have that personality and your second doesn't have that personality. There's nobody from a staff vendor perspective around you that has that personality. How are you getting these rowdy, fun boys to line up and listen?
Yeah.
How are you doing that? If you don't have a commanding personality for a wedding day to be able to say, get the fuck over there in the nicest way possible while still being personable and fun and playful with them.
Yeah.
How are you getting them over there?
Yeah.
And how is it not fucking up your timeline for 15 minutes to try to do it?
And then I love her to death, but the planner for the day, while we're doing like the photos out there, she calls me to essentially let me know, because we're running behind a little bit because things are so crazy. Yeah. She calls me to let me know like, hey, the first bus is here of like, yes, we got to get them hidden. Of course, I don't pick up the call because I'm literally
working.
I'm trying to do all this different stuff. So it's just like, if you have someone who cannot get people in their place, be nice about it. I don't know
how people do it.
Direct. I don't know how people do it. I really don't. Like, just to be ran over by, it's typically the groomsmen, let's be honest. That's tough.
And we've worked with some rowdy groomsmen.
Some people who were drinking. And it was a lesson I learned my very first year. I had someone book me, and when I tell you that they were doing pulls off Jack Daniels bottles all morning, the bridesmaids and the groomsmen, and no one paid attention. I almost cried that day. Oof. But that was a lesson learned of where I go, okay, I will be mean if I have to, or I will be very direct if I have to, because we didn't get anything done that day. And what ended up happening?
Came back on you.
Came back on me. And they were fucking pissed. And I was like, what are you talking about? Everyone is like a level 5 alcoholic in this group. No one would listen. Their eyes would barely open. How is this my fault? And going back, if I had to do it all over again, number one, I would have said something in the morning. I would have been like, hey, everyone is drinking heavily. I just want to kind of warn you, we might want to talk to them about pulling back on that. Just, from a photography standpoint, reception starts, you do you, boo-boo. I don't give a shit. But maybe let's pull it back for now. And then I would have been much more direct trying to corral them together. Whether that's my job or not, doesn't matter. It's my job that day.
Yep.
Tis what it is.
Anyway.
So one last thing I wanted to ask you.
Oh, God.
Because I had someone ask me the other day, and I just was like, this is an interesting topic. And also, if we want to cut this, we absolutely can. But I'm curious. Someone asked me, they had a client, and they said, my client is very progressive, let's say, on the like political spectrum. And mind you, Nikki and I are both in the camp of like, just be a good human. I don't give a fuck. Right side, left side, I don't care. Just be a good human. Be nice. But the vendor was like, I have a very progressive couple who just booked a very, not just Republican conservative, but like a very talks poorly about gay people on like their personal accounts, but separates it from their business. Like, doesn't say anything from a business perspective, but also believes men and women, like, that's who gets married, would not do a wedding for a gay couple, says pretty nasty things about, people on the internet. And the vendor was like, do I have a responsibility to say anything to them? Or do I keep my fucking mouth shut, knowing that this vendor is very outwardly, whatever, different than the couple that I have who's very outwardly how they feel about things.
I don't think you have a responsibility unless that person is a personal friend that you know.
Or they're like asking you.
Or they're asking you
Yeah.
personally, because you go to McDonald's and you don't know if the guy making your fries hates
exactly
something that you are super the opposite of.
Yeah.
Like, you don't know.
Yeah.
And so I think from a working perspective, no, it is not your responsibility unless the couple fully asks you.
Yeah.
And I think, like, if I had a planner, I would be asking the planner ahead of time if I am as progressive as you're making it sound.
Yeah. Or like if it really matters to you, the beliefs of this other
I
vendor.
would be asking ahead of time, hey, these are my beliefs. This is really important to me. This is how progressive I am. I really want to make sure that my vendors align in the same things with me.
Yeah.
I would ask ahead of time, do you have recommendations based on what I just told you that you personally know, or people that I shouldn't look into because you personally know that they have opposing views because that's what they believe, whatever.
Yeah.
But if they're not asking and they're already booking, that's not
Especially
my monkey, not my circus.
Signed,
not my circus,
like,
not my monkey.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I know politics are inherently personal, especially nowadays. Like it just is really personal. But in the same vein, like I have couples who I know are, you know, more on the liberal side, more on the conservative side, and it doesn't matter to me either which way. Again, I just want you to be a nice person to me specifically because we're working together. Like,
but to everyone.
Yeah, but to everybody. But like, I would just like if we vibe. That's and I vibe with people on all sides of the aisle. But someone asked me that. They were like, hey, so I have a client. They just booked this person who's very anti XYZ, la, la, la. And I'm just wondering, like, am I supposed to say anything to them? And in my head, my first thing went to like, well, did they sign a contract? Because I'm definitely the person who I go, if someone were to ask me before booking with me, if they were like, hey, it's really important to us, you know, we're conservative, we support XYZ, it's important to us that our vendors do as well, I would be very honest with them. I'd be like, hey, I don't. To each their own. And if they ended up not wanting to book, I completely respect that. Totally respect that. But I do think a lot of us are in the camp of just like, I love your work, I love your photography, and I vibe with you as a couple. Yeah. Let's leave the rest aside. But when I got asked that question, I go, I don't know what I would do. I really don't. I think I would try to stay out of it as long as as long as both parties were okay and they vibed as people.
Because you can really open a can of worms if you get into it.
Yeah.
And I don't think it is the planner's responsibility to go out of their way to say something. If you're asked about it, that's a completely different story. Yeah. I will give you my, whatever. I'll tell you the truth. Yeah. But I'm not going to go out of my way to do that when you're not asking. You know, I don't know.
Yeah.
That's my opinion.
That's fair. And I think proactively, like, let's say you have a planner who's very, very conservative. They might not recommend very liberal. You know what I mean? Like, they might not try, depending on like your client base and all that good stuff.
Totally.
Like, you can proactively do things to, kind of like match people with like-minded people and whatnot. But yeah, that makes sense. Just like, not my circus, not my monkeys, kind of hang out of it and all that good stuff.
Unless you're asked.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And again, if somebody's as progressive as they say, I would assume that they would be doing due diligence to find out X, Y, and Z, or to ask a planner ahead of time X, Y, and Z.
Yeah.
So maybe they really don't give a fuck.
Yeah, that's completely
They could honestly just be like, whatever, just give me my,
assumption.
I don't even know what kind of vendor, but could just be like, just give me my cake or give me my florals.
Yeah.
Like, it is what it is.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So,
That
anyway.
was my only other question. Again, this was so long. We're not doing another mini episode this week. We're just going to do this one.
This is a mini.
Yeah.
This is a full and a mini combined.
Last thing I want to ask, your honest opinion.
Sure.
Do we hate the trailers or do we like the trailers?
I love the trailers. I think they're so fun. Yeah.
Okay, good.
I think they're just easy to throw out there and be like, here's what we talked about this week.
Yeah.
Yes, we can still pull clips from Opus, but like we have full-time jobs. Yeah. This is a side gig. And also one thing I want to say, this will be a successful podcast one day. Like, you can clip this in the future. Yep. Future us, 5 years down the road when we're being interviewed on Good Morning America, because we have a book that we just, published and released.
100%.
Yeah.
I truly believe that, by the way.
No, me too. But the thing about us, we're so fucked up. You and me, we believe we can do anything. Academy Award winners, done. Give me an Oscar.
No, literally,
I'm there.
I edited 50 Beyonce photos and I go, well, now I'm going to be a photographer for Beyonce. I'm literally that delusional where I start emailing Live Nation.
We are the problem.
I start tagging her mother. I'm tagging Miss Tina in my photos, thinking like one day something will happen for me in terms of concert photography, sports photography. I'll figure it out. I'll get there.
Yep.
But we are on episode 16. I was listening to Armchair Expert the other day, episode 900.
Yep.
And I go, and they have celebrities on their show.
Yeah.
So how could that not be successful?
Yeah.
Of course it's fucking successful. And they've done 900 episodes. So I'm just like,
we'll get there.
We'll get
Just
there.
takes time.
Also, a goal of mine for the wintertime when things die down again, and I like to pile things on because I never, just want to live my life.
Same.
I really want to create some sort of like call her daddy set or like Armchair Expert set for us. I'm even thinking I got a whole ass garage out there that we could soundproof.
Oh, that would be cool. That could be a cool project. I would, we could do that.
Soundproof it, make a literal set, lighting.
We should do that.
Bookcases.
You know, another option that I thought of, a storage unit for $100 a month.
Yeah. Yeah. All we need is one
People
power
run hair
cord.
salons out of there.
Yeah. We need one power cord.
Done.
It's quiet as fuck in there.
Yep. We could
So,
soundproof it too.
You never know. You never know. Anyways, okay, that's all we have for you. Let me go actually look at my outro. Because remember, it's episode 16. We don't have that exactly memorized. Whenever I would listen to the toast and she'd be like, listen to us. I'm like, I wonder how many times she's done that at the end of this fucking episodes.
It's how many, how long it took me to twerk, to learn how to twerk in the mirror. Because you can twerk.
Yeah.
You can twerk. But then there's twerking. There's like legitimate, like, movement.
And it looks good and it looks,
appropriate.
I was hella impressed. I will tell you that. I was like, for such a tiny little girl, she's got a bit of a dump
Here's
truck.
the thing. I used to have the fattest ass out of anybody that I knew.
Yeah.
And I was 30 pounds heavier, maybe 40, 50 at one point.
Sing it.
But one thing that I always had was a big, huge butt.
Yeah.
And so when I had to learn how to twerk, as if I was forced in, some sort of camp or something, I was being forced to learn how to twerk. It came so naturally and easily because I didn't really have to do much movement.
Yeah.
I just kind of, and it was just
whoa, went up and down.
shit.
If anything, you were like, oh, this is
I was like,
painful.
this
this huge thing is moving up and down.
Gosh. And now there's not much there still, but there's something. So it still moves.
Speaking of dump truck, real quick before I close out the show, Amelia.
Oh my God.
Shout out Amelia. I told her that at like a styled shoot we were at. I was like,
she knows.
I was like, girl, that's a nice butt. I was like, I didn't ask her this, but she must work out or she has God-given ass.
She does at home. We've talked about it. She's done like a lot of intense like at home Pilates. But
can we talk about impact versus intent again really quick? Because my psychosis.
Sure.
So I saw you post that you guys were at
Pilates.
I was going to call it Philippines. Pilates.
We're in the Philippines.
Doing Philappies. Pilates. And I was like, this dumb bitch, she can't invite me to nothing. And then it goes immediately in the same breath. I go, bitch, you would not go to Pilates.
I was going to say, in what universe
world
are you coming to Pilates?
would you go to Pilates?
Also, tell me you want to go. I put it out on my story. I was like, anybody who wants to come to Pilates with me, I have guest passes, which technically I'm going to put this out there too. I don't technically have guest passes because about 17 people messaged me and were like, I want to go. I want to go.
Dumbass.
They're not actually guest passes. They're like my passes that like I can use for a guest. So if I bring you with, like, buy me a coffee or juice because like
I just saved you $40.
That's $17 out of my because I bought them on Black Friday sale. But they're still like it is a $40 class.
Like
so it is a reformer / treadmill class that I like to go to. So
the moment you say treadmill, I'm like,
And also like I said, tell me if you want to go.
Yeah. I think my issue is I cannot.
I'm constantly inviting myself to come play tennis with you. Have you ever invited me? Exactly.
No,
so
I'm
fuck
afraid
off.
You're not going to be good.
No, truth be told, you're afraid that I'm going to be really good.
True.
And then you're going to unfriend me.
It will be a qualm in our friendship. Yeah. Every episode I'll be like,
This stupid bitch beat me at our tennis match last week.
I don't have the cardio I used to have. Also, apologies for the coughing and the sneezing and the sniffling. I
have bronchitis.
Clearly, apparently, something's very wrong with me.
You have bronchitis.
But Nurse Nikki told me I need to
get a virtual doctor appointment set up so you can get the medication that you need to kick your bronchitis. Because that's what like a lingering chest cold technically turns into is bronchitis.
Will not go away.
Are you coughing up phlegm?
Yeah.
Then you have bronchitis.
Okay.
What color is it?
Like yellow. It's not green.
You have bronchitis.
Yeah. And it's been weeks.
Yep. You have bronchitis.
It probably didn't help that I already was sick and then went to a 40-degree Beyonce concert for 3 hours and then walked a mile and a half back to the hotel in the cold. Because you can't get an Uber after a concert. Like I'd have to be sucking dick to get a ride out of there.
You have bronchitis.
Anyways, so apologies. I'll figure that out. I don't have a wedding this weekend, which is nice, but I do have a graduation party that I'm very excited for, which I know sounds insane.
No, I'm excited to see it.
Sailcloth tented.
Love.
No budget. I'm just excited to see what people do with no budget because like that could never be me in terms of an
we have
event.
budgets.
Yeah, we got budgets. Okay, well, thank you guys for joining this cocktail hour. Don't forget to subscribe, review the pod wherever you listen. Thanks for sharing your hump day with us, even though this is Friday. I'm going to edit and post this today like I did last week.
It's fine.
Yeah. Anyways.
It is what it is. Again, episode 16, we're all over the place. We're getting shit done. We're taking names. We're going to be famous one day.
Yeah.
I think we were both built for a life of fame. So, like, I'm okay with that.
I won most likely to be on a reality TV show in my senior year.
I should have a reality TV show.
I agree. The idea of doing those like interviews where you're on the couch and like
put me in a confessional.
This is essentially what it's just our double confessional.
This is a confessional.
Yeah.
Put me on.
I would have loved Big Brother.
Alive.
Survivor? No, thank you. Big Brother?
Yes.
I could do Big Brother.
Watch me win. Watch me win.
Watch me work.
And watch me nay. Anyway, watch me whip.
Oh,
anyway, make sure you're following us on social media. We're on TikTok and Instagram at cocktailhour.podcast. Click the submission link. It's in our bio. Everything is anonymous. You can submit any hot takes, questions, concerns, any comments and feedback that you have for us. Please let us know. We're happy to hear it, and we can't wait to see you next week.
Yeah. One other thing I'll say before we say our goodbyes. If you want, go ahead, DM us and leave us a voice note.
Yes.
Of whatever you want to talk about. You can type it up in a submission, but if you don't mind your voice being on the pod, we were thinking about having people submit things to us via voice that we will play.
Kind of like a call-in system. So we love call-in episodes where people are like, hey, Meg and Nikki, here's what blah, 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 blah. We would love that. It must be a minute or shorter.
Yeah. I know that we can do 5 on Instagram, but let's keep it to a minute or less.
Yep.
Otherwise, this is going to get gnarly.
Yep.
But we'll see you guys next week.
Bye.
Bye.